Currently, we have 27 at O'Hare, 28 along the lakefront, 29 at Midway, 28 Lansing, 27 Aurora. All reporting stations this morning have snow. Your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Lou Bridges Show. Get foreclosure defense solutions that may save your home. Saturday mornings at 8 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, did you have a Comey watching party last night? And what were your guests talking about in terms of big takeaways? Was there anything particularly new, particularly interesting? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 646-36DA, turnkey.pro text line. For me,
yeah, what was your favorite moment?
the only news, there was no favorite moments because it was Jim Comey and Clinton Foundation donor zero.
Yeah,
could anything be more excruciating?
Right. I mean, keep in mind, too, he used to be her spokesperson, George Stephanopoulos. That's the person conducting the interview.
Used to be her spokesperson.
Her husband's. I'm sorry. James
Her
Comey, he was chief of staff.
James Comey used to
Right,
be.
you know what? Okay.
James Comey used to be who's?
No. I'm talking about George Stephanopoulos, the one who he is a Democrat. He has worked for the Clinton administration. He was conducting the interview. So
Right, Clinton Foundation donor
Yes.
zero. Got it. And so Comey, the only news that Comey made, as far as I knew, was that that's something I didn't know going in, was that Comey has a family full of peahats. That was the only news for me, that he and his wife, or that his wife and his kids were all peahat wearers at the leftist women's march, and they wanted Hillary Clinton to win. Okay, so there's your hour-long summation of the news that Jim Comey made last night, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, in addition to Stephanopoulos doing his best to humanize Jim Comey so that someday he might be a real boy, too, with his going through the scrapbook and his home, talking about his hometown and his upbringing, like that has anything relevant to his job as the chief law enforcement officer in the United States. So, yeah, not a lot there for me. I don't know about you.
it was a 5-hour interview that they did that was condensed into 1 hour last night. And, it was just unprecedented to hear somebody smear the president in the way that he did, and talked about him, about his mental awareness.
I don't think he's medically unfit to be president. I think he's morally unfit to be president. A person who sees moral equivalence in Charlottesville, who talks about and treats women like they're pieces of meat, who lies constantly about matters big and small and insists the American people believe it, that person's not fit to be president of the United States on moral grounds.
He called him a liar because he went back to something so silly as the size of the crowd on Inauguration Day.
Constant series of assertions about the inauguration crowd. His inauguration crowd was bigger than that at Barack Obama's first inauguration. That's just not true. That's not a perspective. That's not a view. That's just a lie.
So you're listening. Are you thinking President Trump's a liar?
Yes. Yeah.
They kept adding this goofy music, to keep us interested for the whole hour-long program. So sinister. But first of all, he should not even be talking, because there's still a continuing investigation that's going on. So that's the first problem. Then secondly, I don't trust him. It's just sour grapes. He's just angry and so upset that he was fired. And he said he didn't see it coming when he got fired, Dan. Didn't see it.
Yeah, but
blindsided him.
When he saw, right, which is not news, so he saw it on TV. But then, to his credit, when he saw it on TV, when he saw the chyron that Comey has been fired, he immediately recognized that Comey was him, and he blew that case wide open. He got to the bottom of the case. It turns out that he did get fired.
Oh, okay.
So that's one case that he solved without controversy. That's about the extent of his professional capacity, from a look at the last 18 months of his tenure, and frankly, a walk back in time for much of his work product in his previous positions. I mean, the whole thing was, who can be more self-indulgent, Stephanopoulos or Comey?
Well, I did, learn about the letter that he sent 11 days before the election, basically reopening the investigation into the Hillary Clinton emails. But he had to do that because they found classified information on Anthony Weiner's computer, and whether or not that defeated her and how he feels about it.
If you knew that letter would elect Donald Trump, you'd still send it?
I would.
Hillary Clinton's convinced that that letter defeated her. What do you say to her?
I hope not. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
And it kept going on like, his stomach was in knots. He was in so much pain because his family put pressure on him because he opened up the letter.
There's absolutely nothing new here other than Comey emoting.
I don't remember spelling it out, but it had to have been that she's going to be elected president, and if I hide this from the American people, she'll be illegitimate the moment she's elected.
So he thought that she was going to win, so he didn't think it was going to cost her the election if he reopened this investigation 11 days before.
Yes,
people went to the polls.
And his concern, his political calculus, as he so describes it in the excerpt of his book, is troublesome for Chris Christie, who was on with Clinton Foundation Donor Zero in his morning program for his evening interview. Here's what Chris Christie said, former federal prosecutor, worked for Comey.
I have to tell you, as somebody who worked with Jim Comey and then for Jim Comey, it's a really sad day because to hear Jim sit in your interview and say that he considered the polling when deciding...
He didn't say he considered, he said he was influenced.
Well, okay, George, when I worked for Jim, if I had said to him 11 days before an election that I was going to release information that could potentially affect the election, and that one of the things that influenced me was polling, he would have fired me. He would have fired me on the spot. And it is really disconcerting to me as a guy who worked with him and for him and have defended him on this air and other places over the years to see this interview and what he was saying. It is exactly what they teach you not to do. And I think it's unfortunate that Jim's, who's a good guy, a good family man, a good person, and was a very good prosecutor, but he began to believe his own press clippings. And it's the biggest danger in public life. And the hubris that he shows in that interview is extraordinary to me and not the guy that I worked with or worked for, and it's sad.
Hubris is the operative word there. Jim Comey asked, if you ever thought your own sense of virtue got in the way, George, his book is named A Higher Loyalty. But here's the good news.
Look no further than the front cover.
Comey said, I was very concerned about that. I had people around me to check that. After much thought, I've concluded that I never let my virtue get in my way. Oh, well, that settles the case, of course. So that's, as long as you've examined it, Jim Comey has examined Jim Comey, then we know the definitive word has been offered up. Jim Gagliano, who, again, was somebody who rallied to Comey's defense when he was fired, 25-year FBI, had this to say about what he thinks about Comey now.
I think what we're witnessing right now is a diminution of the stature, the 6'8" stature of this man who's now shrunk down to basically a Lilliputian. And why is this? I don't think James Comey's a bad man. I think James Comey's a decent person. What I think happened here is because of the weight of the consequences that were thrust upon him, and we can talk about how he ended up there and why he had to make these decisions, I think it was his feckless leadership. And the word feckless I choose carefully because it means lacking the strength of character. What should have happened after he was put into that position on the Phoenix tarmac where he had to make that July 5th statement, which was unprecedented for an FBI director to do, he should have punted the ball back across the street to the Department of Justice after Loretta Lynch recused herself and put that squarely on the desk of Sally Yates. He didn't do it. He allowed political calculus to come into his decision-making as an FBI director, and he's right to be criticized. Now, the director's manner of doing that, or I'm sorry, the president's manner, not the way I would choose to do it. I think it's beneath the dignity of the office, but I do believe his decisions and this book tour are worthy of criticism.
The interesting thing, too, the only interesting thing about that interview, in addition to the fact that established that his family is full of peahats supporting Hillary Clinton, is the questions that were not asked. The questions that were not asked. Not a single question about Andy McCabe. Not a single question about the Inspector General's report at the FBI. No assessment of his job performance. It was just an hour-long opportunity for Jim Comey to, wax nostalgic about the FBI's private plane and the wet bar, and otherwise emote about the torture that he went through during the 2016 election. It was pathetic. Clinton Foundation Donor Zero is a terrible interviewer and completely complicit.
Felt like something that should have been on the Hallmark Channel. Really.
He's completely complicit with the D.C. press corps and with kind of the established narrative about Jim Comey at present. Not when all the Democrats were criticizing him, but the narrative at present where he's a useful tool for the left to try and attack the president. I think this is going to turn out to be much like Michael Wolff. I think this is going to dissipate a lot quicker than people thought initially.
I don't see it going away anytime soon. Tonight he's going to be on with Stephen Colbert. Tomorrow Wednesday he's going on The View. Every day this week he has some big interview, which I don't know if they're going to ask questions about other people, the questions that you want answered. But he used the chance to, just to try to destroy President Trump. He talked about he possibly committed obstruction of justice by telling him to stop the Flynn investigation, and then there's that.
No, he said he didn't say by possibly stopping the Flynn investigation. He said I don't know. That's not news. Do you think President Trump committed obstruction of justice? I don't know. Maybe. He didn't make a specific assertion in a specific area. He just kept the door open because it was all political posturing. That was not newsworthy. I know the big headlines are he calls Trump morally unfit for office. Whatever. That's a value judgment. It's not a legal judgment. Number one. Number two, obstruction of justice. I don't know. Maybe. Anything's possible under the sun. That's also not a legal judgment.
And the way he said it, too, made me want to reach through the TV and smack him. I couldn't stand it. It was hard to digest that hour-long program.
Ed in Oak Brook, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
You know what? I'm actually foaming at the mouth. Here's a guy. I do think this guy is a bad guy, other than that the journal guy, whatever his name is. I also think he's the biggest coward that ever led the FBI, and I think he brought that agency down to the lowest level it could possibly be by his wimpiness, and he doesn't know all of this, and he's just bad-mouthing the president for absolutely no good to him or anyone else. And you know what? I'd like to slap him up and down. I'm looking at Lake Street right now, and that's what I'd like to do. And I'm trying to have a nice day. Goodbye.
Okay, man. All right. Be careful on Lake Street. Thank you.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
AmeriGas. Your business relies on the power of propane. It's a critical component to success, from powering your forklifts, temporary heating solutions at construction sites, to the patio heaters that warm customers at restaurants and bars. You need a safe, reliable, and trustworthy supplier of propane. You need AmeriGas. With AmeriGas, you get more than just a propane supplier. You get an expert and partner with safety being their number one priority. Imagine never having to worry about running out of propane and having to call for an emergency delivery. It's available if you need it, but you won't with AmeriGas. AmeriGas monitors your usage and automatically schedules your propane deliveries hassle-free. AmeriGas, for almost 60 years, committed to providing reliable propane services to keep your business running. For safe propane delivery all over Chicagoland, any time of day, call 800-AmeriGas or go to AmeriGas.com. That's AmeriGas.com.
Americans in every tax bracket got a tax cut thanks to the tax bill signed into law last year, which means you've got more money to spend on what's important to you. Democrats in Congress who voted against the tax cuts are promising to raise your taxes if they win in November. They want your money back to spend on their priorities. Only you can stop them. To find out how much more money you'll be bringing home, go to taxcutswork.com. There's an easy-to-use calculator that tells you how much money the new tax cuts are saving you this year and next. Check your savings at taxcutswork.com. Then send a letter to Congress telling them to keep their hands off your tax cut savings. The Tax Cuts Work Tour is coming to the Fauna International at 1900 Averill Road in Geneva on Sunday, April 29th at 2 p.m. Meet small business owners, elected officials, and the folks from Job Creators Network to hear how the tax cuts are working and share your story, too. That's Fauna International in Geneva on Sunday, April 29th at 2 p.m. Learn more at taxcutswork.com.
People have long associated the Ozinga name with concrete, but truth be told, Ozinga has always been on a quest to create a better world. We want to help you build your business so you can provide for your family, create better jobs, and build your community. It's why we constantly engineer better concrete, haul raw materials, and supply cleaner fuel. Together, we can positively impact the places where we live, work, and play throughout the Chicagoland area. To learn more, go to ozinga.com. That's OZINGA.com.
So, you're a truck driver, a clutch cowboy, a wrangler of the road. At Ozinga, you are exactly who we need. Concrete truck drivers. People who aren't afraid of a little adventure and hard work. If you're tired of monotony and are looking to build something that matters, then come build with us. At Ozinga, we are building our families, our communities, and our country. Apply online today at ozinga.com. That's OZINGA.com.
Great organizations are made up of great people. When your company needs top talent fast without sacrificing quality, FlexExecs can help. For short-term needs or full-time positions, FlexExecs has provided mid to senior level talent in human resources, marketing, operations, finance, and accounting for almost 30 years. Whether you need one person or a team, FlexExecs is ready to place the right people. They'll help your business meet deadlines and goals, plus control costs. That delivers results for your company's staff and clients. You know how finding the right people to drive your company is critical. Partnering with FlexExecs makes it easy. Find out why hundreds of companies are thrilled with the results. Visit flex2018.com. That's flex2018.com. Or call 630-655-0563 and speak to Chris Swanson or Karen Murphy. FlexExecs, the right people at the right time.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Was the president right to authorize the missile strike on Syria over the weekend? We'll discuss. Take your calls at 538.
And a storm is coming to court. We'll explain. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
30 light snow showers. Former FBI Director James Comey says President Trump does not have the moral character for high office.
A person who sees moral equivalence in Charlottesville, who talks about and treats women like they're pieces of meat, who lies constantly about matters big and small and insists the American people believe it, that person's not fit to be president of the United States on moral grounds.
In his first televised interview since being fired, Comey telling ABC's 2020 that someone who talks about and treats women like that is not suited to be president. President Trump's lawyers, meantime, are going before a judge to try and block a federal prosecutor from reviewing documents seized in a raid on his lawyer's office. British Prime Minister Theresa May will go before lawmakers this morning and explain why she ordered airstrikes on Syria without parliamentary approval. The weekend strike's part of the combined U.S.-UK-French response to the chemical weapons attack blamed on the regime of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. In this country, Senator Joni Ernst believes the president should consult Congress before any further action in Syria.
Well, I am uncomfortable going forward if he wishes to commit ground troops in the area.
Speaking on NBC's Meet the Press, former First Lady Barbara Bush will not be seeking additional medical treatment for her failing health. Maureen O'Donnell lives in New York and is a longtime friend of the former First Lady.
When they were in the White House, I think they were just the perfect family. And I think that's how I became enamored with her.
The Bush family spokesperson saying the 92-year-old wife of former President George H.W. Bush will instead focus on comfort care. More wintry weather for the upper Midwest and a large swath of the U.S.
I'm sure they're out there doing their best, trying to clear it and make it safe. So I'm just here until the DOT says we can move.
I'm stuck. Can't go anywhere.
I'm from Oklahoma, and we don't run into situations like this. This is all new animal for me.
Snow, possibly from two separate storm systems, swathed the U.S., parts of Wisconsin under a snow emergency this morning, while another system is set to bring rain and snow to parts of the Rockies. More than 200 million eggs are being recalled over salmonella fears. Indiana-based Roseacre Farms issued a recall on the eggs in connection with 22 cases of salmonella, mostly on the East Coast. Chicago's still getting a steady dose of wintry weather in the early spring. An arrest has been made in connection with the tainted synthetic marijuana that has sickened and killed many in the state. 2 adults and 2 children seriously hurt following a crash that remains under investigation on Lakeshore Drive. Chicago sports, Cubs and Braves postponed. Sox and Twins snowed out for a 3rd straight game. And the news is a service of Shell. Get the feeling of being rewarded with gold status at Shell with the Fuel Rewards program. Start saving on your very first fill and continue to save on every fill every day. Download the Fuel Rewards app, join, and start saving today. 5:33. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher isn't going to get pushed around.
There's so much ugliness out there, and I admit I kind of contributed to it yesterday. Now, you know me. Somebody calls me and acts like a jerk to me, like a few of you did yesterday. I'm not going to just roll over because I didn't like the way the tone went with some of our callers.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Print up to 1,000 photos on your phone for free with Free Prints. Download the app and choose photos on your phone or on social media. Prints arrive in just days. Download it now at freeprints.com.
16 million people suffer from depression in this country. 6 million of them have drug-resistant depression, which means they do not find any relief. Hi, my name is Ben Klein, and I know this very well, as my oldest daughter suffers from depression, and she did not find any relief from the drugs. We found TMS therapy, and we got her the treatment, and it completely changed her life. If you're one of those 6 million people who suffer from drug-resistant depression, contact us. It can change your life too.
HPR centers in Chicagoland and Milwaukee offer TMS therapy. In just a few weeks, you can change your life. And it's FDA cleared. It's covered by most insurance, including Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and Medicare. In a natural way, you can make real progress in the battle with depression, cure or remission. Get a free consultation. 800-604-0208. 800-604-0208. HPR Centers. Go to endmydepression.com. End your depression.
5:35. Let's get an update on the morning roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Traffic's getting heavier on the outbound Kennedy. We're seeing delays Foster to Harlem. It's 23 minutes downtown to O'Hare, and traffic starting to build up on westbound 190 as well. The inbound Kennedy looks good. Reversibles are open inbound. Eden's clear. Eisenhower inbound a little tight. Manheim to 25th. It's a 1 or 2 minute delay. Outbound, it's bottled up. Manheim to Wolf. There's a spin out in that area. Bound Stevenson delays started Harlem 40 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan 20 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishopport 18 minutes, 8094 to the merge. Northbound Tri-State we see delays. 87th, the 83rd Street toll, the Reagan tollway to the Eisenhower. Northbound 53 at the Adams Tollway there's a crash reported. Traffic, service of La Quinta Inns and Suites. How do business travelers win on the road? Staying at La Quinta Inns and Suites. Relax with contemporary lobby makeovers, stylish room designs. Prepare to win at business. Book now at lq.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Morning flurries, otherwise cloudy, windy, and cold today, a high of 38. Breezy and very cold overnight, low 26. Partly sunny and chilly, 44 tomorrow. Currently 27. Your next news update is at 6. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by the Townstone Financial Show, Saturday afternoons at 1. Nobody values your mortgage business like Townstone. Listen and call for the best advice.
Hey, Joe Walsh here. Too much drama in the White House. We'll talk about that when Freedom returns at 5.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And on Friday night, the president made a national address announcing the strike in Syria, making good on his tweet, making good on Obama's red line, I suppose. But was anything more accomplished than just defending Obama's red line and the president's tweet. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Do you agree with the president's decision to authorize that strike in Syria?
The targeted areas, they targeted places where they store military weaponry, where they store chemicals made to use these chlorine gas bombs that they used on, the residents, which 46 kids were killed. But we had to do something. But now what do we? I mean, he tweeted out "mission accomplished," and I thought that was a little off and a little early.
Depends what the mission is, and that's what I guess we're seeking definition. We're seeking definition on. Is the mission just to punish Assad for a chemical weapons attack, or is the mission bigger than that? In other words, is the mission about sending a message to Russia and Iran about hegemony in the region? Is this a message to Russia and Iran, don't frack with us, or we will frack with you in all the states that you sponsor? Is it bigger, or is it just simply this is a response to the human rights atrocities committed by the Assad regime? Of course, Dunford, the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joseph Dunford, and James Mattis held a joint press conference to lay out the legal and policy framework. That was Mattis's job, in part, to lay out militarily what the U.S. military did, and that was Dunford. Here's Mattis laying out the authority the president had to make the decision he made.
As our Commander-in-Chief, the President has the authority under Article 2 of the Constitution to use military force overseas to defend important United States national interests. The United States has vital national interests in averting a worsening catastrophe in Syria and specifically deterring the use and proliferation of chemical weapons.
So the rationale there to not seek congressional authorization, and then just a deeper discussion about the policy framework here from Mad Dog.
Earlier today, President Trump directed the U.S. military to conduct operations in consonance with our allies to destroy the Syrian regime's chemical weapons research, development, and production capability. Tonight, France, the United Kingdom, and the United States took decisive action to strike the Syrian chemical weapons infrastructure. Clearly, the Assad regime did not get the message last year. This time, our allies and we have struck harder. Together, we have sent a clear message to Assad and his murderous lieutenants that they should not perpetrate another chemical weapons attack for which they will be held accountable. The 70 nations in the Defeat ISIS coalition remain committed to defeating ISIS in Syria. The strike tonight separately demonstrates international resolve to prevent chemical weapons from being used on anyone under any circumstance in contravention of international law.
So you just, heard it. Let's just be clear here. The stated basis and mission was a response to the use of chemical weapons by the Assad regime. Would it be a surprise to learn that there are larger geopolitical concerns that informed the decision? No, it would not. But let's just lay the foundation of what they actually said, what they actually provided. And Dunford, just to build off of what Matt has said about the difference between this strike and last year's strike, Dunford distinguished the two.
Last year, we conducted a unilateral strike on a single site. The focus was on the aircraft associated with the Syrian chemical weapons attack in April of 2017. This evening, we conducted strikes with two allies on multiple sites that will result in a long-term degradation of Syria's capability to research, develop, and employ chemical and biological weapons. Important infrastructure was destroyed, which will result in a setback for the Syrian regime. They will lose years of research and development data, specialized equipment, and expensive chemical weapons precursors.
And although President Trump, we did not target any Russian and Iranian assets, President Trump on Friday night did want them to get the message.
To Iran and to Russia, I ask, what kind of a nation wants to be associated with the mass murder of innocent men, women, and children.
Yeah, the friends you keep. I would say Iran and Russia want to be associated with such a regime. I mean, it's a bit of a rhetorical question, of course, and moralizing, but I don't think that's going to have much impact on Iran or Russia's
and
foreign policy.
Putin's saying that chemical attack was staged.
Of course he is. It's Russian propaganda. I mean, this is what they do. And by the way, Dunford and Mattis in their briefing talked about disinformation campaigns that will be coming from Russia and Iran and Syria. Of course they will. Putin also talking about if this continues, that this will create policy chaos in the global community. Putin invoking the UN. You know, when Putin is invoking the UN, that he is engaged in a misinformation campaign as if he cares about the international community or the UN's policymaking for that matter. The one thing about Dunford, though, what he said with respect to how much this debilitated Syria's chemical weapons program, that's very much in dispute. There were a number of analysts, former defense officials, who said that the claim that Syria was set back for years is PR. Battle damage assessments are never that strong, especially not this fast and from afar. They can hope they've set back the program for years, but it's more likely the setback is more modest. Another analyst saying, as important as the hardware and software, unless you kill the wetware, years is probably an exaggeration. And
I can't see any innocent civilians were killed in our attacks.
Right, but here's the thing, and Jeffrey Sachs from Columbia University, who's an advisor to the UN, had this to say on Morning Joe. He essentially, look, no civilians were killed in this attack, at least none reported thus far, but you've had 500,000 deaths. You've had north of 10 million people displaced, and this essentially was a war of our choosing. And so the real play is Trump's first instinct on the matter, which is to get out.
This is a U.S. mistake that started 7 years ago. And I remember the day on your show when President Obama said, Assad must go. And I looked at you and Joe and I said, how's he going to do that? Where's the policy for that?
Right.
And we know they sent in the CIA to overthrow Assad. The CIA and Saudi Arabia together in covert operations tried to overthrow Assad. It was a disaster. Eventually it brought in both ISIS as a splinter group to the jihadists that went in. It also brought in Russia. So we have been digging deeper and deeper and deeper. What we should do now is get out and not continue to throw missiles, not have a confrontation with Russia. 7 years has been a disaster under Obama, continuing under Trump. This is what I would call the permanent state. This is the CIA, this is Pentagon, wanting to keep Iran and Russia out of Syria, but no way to do that. And so we have made a proxy war in Syria. It's killed 500,000 people, displaced 10 million, and I'll say predictably so, because I predicted it 7 years ago that there was no way to do this and that it would make a complete chaos. So what I would plead to President Trump is get out. Like his instinct told him, by the way. That was his instinct. But then all the establishment, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Pentagon, everybody said, no, that's irresponsible. But his instinct is right. Get out.
The swamp draining Trump on this one, perhaps. 312-642-5600, Turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, Turnkey.pro text line. You know, sometimes you give the military a pass on this problem that's endemic to government. If something's not working, the government response is what? Customarily, make it bigger. It's not big enough. And there is a kind of a permanent state establishment that Jeffrey Sachs is talking about. I think he's right about that. And I think he's right about Trump's initial instincts here. And as much as you don't want to preside over genocide or the use of chemical and biological weapons, I think there's responses to that don't involve this kind of 7-year effort that continues based on the size of this operation over the weekend to try and affect regime change. It's not working. It's not going to work. And so making it bigger just adds to the chaos, doesn't it?
Yeah. And do you think President Trump saying mission accomplished was effective? I mean, his tweet was a perfectly executed strike last night. Thank you to France and the United Kingdom for their wisdom and the power of their fine military. Could not have had a better result. Mission accomplished. And then we even told our enemies that pretty much we're won and done. That's what General Dunford said, that this is a one-time strike.
Well, I mean, yeah, sort of. But that really depends on. But they left open, kind of depending on conduct. And there's also supposed to be new sanctions imposed on Russia today. But the point is, you're still pursuing the same approach to these same actors. And what has it gotten you other than 500,000 people dead and 10 million people displaced? What has it gotten you? So, you try and learn from kind of past bad examples. And I'll say myself, I was a little bit too all in when we pursued regime change in Iraq, as was, I think, the Bush administration. Even Rumsfeld concedes that in his memoir, that they lost the reconstruction after Saddam Hussein was deposed. And so why pursue this same strategy in this very difficult part of the region that just changes out bad actors for bad actors and doesn't really improve life for anybody else? And it doesn't clearly advance our strategic interests, it seems to me. I mean, interestingly, John Bolton has done a bit of a reversal on this now, since becoming National Security Advisor. He's kind of more or less in the Jeffrey Sachs camp previously, and now sees this as more, I think, to kind of bring himself in line with where the administration is, or the center of gravity in the administration is, clearly, since Trump ordered the strike, as this is a way to prevent Iranian prominence, dominance in the region, backed by Russia, of course. But at what cost? And as Jeffrey Sachs said, if you can't turn out Assad, depose him, if you can't stop him from using chemical weapons, which he did last year, that precipitated a strike. He did again this year, that precipitates a strike. Then what is it exactly we're doing here? And how exactly, more specifically, are we advancing American national security interests? I think those are difficult questions for the pro-interventionist crowd to answer.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Chicagoland, Dan Proft here, and I'm here with my guy, Ryan Kelly, at thehomeloanexpert.com. It's real simple with Ryan. He's one of us, and he gets it. Ryan, thanks for joining us. Look, the housing market is hot right now, very hot in Chicago, top of the market. What does someone need to do if they're going to buy a house this year?
You know, what a great question, Dan. I appreciate letting me jump on with you, and you're exactly right. The housing market is hot. It's really hot. And if you're even considering buying a house this year, you need to get pre-approved, and you need to be pre-approved by a strong mortgage lender. And I mean that. There's a lot of other lenders. There's a lot of banks out there. But when you get pre-approved by thehomeloanexpert.com, that pre-approval is like gold. Heck, we even print them on gold paper. They're so valuable. And if you are considering buying a house, know one thing. You're not the only person out there watching the same neighborhoods, the same school districts, waiting for those listings. There's a lot of other people sitting on the sideline. Get pre-approved today at thehomeloanexpert.com. The Home Loan Expert LLC, Illinois residential mortgage licensee.
Hey everyone, Ken here from the award-winning company Income Store. If you were lost and scared in a forest, would you rather have a guide map or a guide standing next to you? Both will lead you out of the forest, one's just a bit more expeditious. When it comes to making more money, have you ever felt lost? Does it drive you a little batty when you know there's people out there, teenagers even, that are adding a different revenue stream, even in different industries, each and every year of their lives? Don't you know deep down there has to be a path out of what we call the financial forest? You know it's there, you just haven't found it yet. For almost a decade now, Income Store has provided guide maps to the do-it-yourselfers, the folks that have considerably more time than money, but they've also been the trusted guide to those with more money than time. If you're ready to stop bouncing around this thing we call the financial forest and serious about adding a second, third, or even fourth revenue model to your home or business, then you have to check out the 5-timing 5000 Income Store. That's IncomeStore.com.
I'm Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity for Upstream-Ideas.com. Game show idea. Comey, Corey, or Christian. I'm going to read a series of passages, and you tell me which was said or written by former FBI Director Jim Comey, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, or 50 Shades of Grey protagonist Christian Grey. Let's begin. I want you to know that nothing has happened in the last year to change my view. Boy, those were the words I needed to hear. I know. And the East Coast loves you, and by the East Coast, I mean me. Do you think gay sex is a perversion? We lie there, panting together, waiting for our breathing to slow. He gently strokes my hair. Boy, I survived. That wasn't so bad. He was not going to get a hug without being a whole lot stronger than he looked. He wasn't. He holds out his hand, and in his palm are 2 shiny silver balls linked with a thick black thread. As he extended his hand, I made a mental note to check its size. It was smaller than mine, but did not seem unusually so. Look out, E.L. James. Jim Comey and Cory Booker are coming for you.
Famous conservative quotes, presented by Automated Systems.
One of Benjamin Franklin's most famous quotes was, "They who give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty or safety." Current events show this to be as true as ever.
It's important we support companies that share our conservative values. If you are a manufacturer, I encourage you to call my friend Laz Kulchar from Automated Systems. As a software and systems integration company, Automated Systems creates custom solutions to make your production lines, facilities, and plants run more efficiently. Imagine less downtime, more speed, and fewer rejects. It doesn't matter if you're a Fortune 500 or a startup, Automated Systems delivers solutions for your toughest automation challenges. For information, I encourage you, man, to talk to Laz at Automated Systems. Call 844-HIRE-ASI or visit AutomatedSYS.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI.
Hi, this is Jack from Banyan Hill. You might have heard about the $34.6 billion that's expected to be doled out in what we call freedom checks. Huge checks that are changing people's lives from coast to coast. People like Sean from Pittsburgh. In fact, he's on the phone right now. Sean, you there?
Yes, I am, Jack.
Sean, let me ask you, how do you like getting these massive checks in your mailbox every month?
Well, Jack, we used to put stuff on credit cards living paycheck to paycheck. But now, after we started collecting a specific kind of freedom check, I have to say, life's a lot more fun.
I bet it is. In fact, getting massive freedom checks is fun no matter who you are. And with $34.6 billion expected to be paid out in private, non-government money starting as early as May 1st, now's the time to stake your claim on some cash. To get all the details, go to www.freedomchecks224.com before the May 1st deadline. That's www.freedomchecks224.com.
A glass of wine on the patio at day's end. Laughter from your teens and their friends gathered around the crackling fire of your new fire pit. This is the private oasis that AM Woodland Outdoor Design can create for you. Your outdoor space should be a reflection of your family's personality and a true extension of your home, not just a place to set your grill and furniture. A well-designed and constructed outdoor space can add significant value to your home and bring endless days of enjoyment. Spend more time together as a family, entertain friends, or just have a personal sanctuary to relax and de-stress. The expert team at AM Woodland Outdoor Design will guide you through every step of the process. They provide quality service with the utmost integrity and reliability every time.
AM Woodland Outdoor Design, proudly serving Lake, Cook, and Kenosha counties, helping make the communities they grew up in as beautiful as they can be. Visit amwoodland.com. That's amwoodland.com or call 847-224-2167.
5:57. Let's get an update on the early morning roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mike. Eisenhower outbound. It's jammed First Avenue to Wolf Road with a crash in the 2 left lanes. There's another crash past St. Charles in the left lane. It's 50 minutes out to 390, 30 to get to Manheim from downtown. Inbound 39 minutes, 390 to Circle. Kennedy, 26 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 30. Delays on the inbound Stevenson starting around First Avenue, 50 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 22 minutes, 95th to downtown. Traffic service of La Quinta Inns and Suites. How do business travelers win on the road? Staying at La Quinta Inns and Suites. Relax with contemporary lobby makeovers and stylish room designs. Prepare to win at business. Book now at lq.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
At 5:58 on AM 560, it's time for a dry basement and a healthy home. Time to call Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL. Chicago's Morning Answer continues after a full update from Fox News and your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Mostly cloudy and breezy with a shower or thunderstorm around. Cool day with a high 55. Breezy tonight, gusts around 35 miles per hour with occasional rain and a thunderstorm, low 40. Still very windy tomorrow, gusts up to 40 miles per hour with rain and drizzle, high 42. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently 27, the news, a service of Shell. Get the feeling of being rewarded with gold status at Shell with the Fuel Rewards program. Start saving on your very first fill and continue to save on every fill every day. Download the Fuel Rewards app. Join and start saving today. 5:59. Here are the stories we're following on AM 560, The Answer. Chicago, a steady dose of winter on an early spring day. Arrest has been made in connection with tainted synthetic marijuana that has sickened and killed many across the state. 2 adults and 2 children seriously hurt following a crash on Lakeshore Drive. 1 man in critical condition after being struck by a CTA Red Line train on Chicago's near North Side. Cubs and Braves postponed on Sunday. Weather, Sox and Twins snowed out for a 3rd straight day on Sunday. More Dan and Amy after Fox News. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
He thinks President Trump might have committed a crime. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
I mean, it's certainly some evidence of obstruction of justice.
Former FBI Director James Comey said it's possible. He also told ABC President Trump doesn't tell the truth, so the guy who fired him is morally unfit for office.
As for going public about the probe into Hillary Clinton's private email server in the final days of the 2016 election, Comey claims he wasn't trying to favor either candidate, though he admitted he assumed Clinton would win.
Fox's Todd Pyro. President Trump called him a slime ball again on Twitter, writing Comey's badly reviewed book doesn't answer questions like how come he gave up classified information and why did he lie to Congress, and hinting he should be in jail. Fresh off the airstrikes that hit Syria in retaliation for a reported chemical weapons attack, the U.S. is readying new sanctions on Russia for supporting Syria. U.S. Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley tells CBS.
They will go directly to any sort of companies that were dealing with equipment related to Assad and chemical weapons use.
Russia has condemned the airstrikes. Fox's Simon Owen live in our European bureau.
Russian President Vladimir Putin saying the airstrikes violate international norms and that if they continue, they'll bring chaos to international relations. Experts with the Global Chemical Weapons Watchdog are now in Syria to investigate the suspected gas attack in the town of Douma, which prompted the military action. Russia saying it's committed to letting the watchdog do its work and that it won't interfere. Although British officials say the inspectors haven't yet been granted access to sites in Douma, despite arriving in Syria 2 days ago. Dave?
Simon, a former First Lady, is sick and no longer wants medical treatment.
Barbara Bush is said to be in failing health. That's according to a Bush family spokesperson. The treatment for the 92-year-old will now focus on what's being called comfort care.
Fox's Tom Graham. Police are out securing 26 miles of Massachusetts road for today's Boston Marathon, 5 years after the bombings near the finish line that killed 3 people. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
The best conversations happen with a cigar in one hand and a fine drink in the other. Join Larry Elder live in Chicago for Cigar Night on Thursday, May 17th at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Larry will be joined by AM 560's Dan Proft for an evening of cigar smoking and good conversation. Tickets start at $29 and include a cigar. Get your tickets at 560theanswer.com/cigar before they sell out. Sponsored by Ryan Kelly, the home loan expert.
Make sure to check out the Income Store live video stream of today's show right now at 560theanswer.com.
Your business's finances are very personal. It's the determining factor on the course you'll take for your family and your employees. But what happens when you're reaching a phase when you need advice? You want to turn to an expert, but who can you trust? Look for someone who is both knowledgeable and involved in the community, like Fred O'Connor of Northwestern Mutual. Fred has worked from Wall Street to Europe in the financial industry, but his calling as an engaged civic leader speaks to the earnest trust Fred has gained over his 30 years serving businesses and the families that run them. Fred serves on the board of the 100 Club of Chicago, the Big Shoulders Fund, and the Irish Fellowship Club. Fred can help you manage risk and plan for your goals, such as rewarding key people and strategies for business exit. Visit FredO'Connor.com to learn more about Fred's services and how he can take your business to the next level. That's FredO'Connor.com. Northwestern Mutual is the marketing name for the Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Fred O'Connor is an insurance agent of NM.
Are we ready to open next month?
I think so.
You think so?
Well, it's complicated. Fire protection, first aid supplies, uniforms, safety training, mat services, oh, and restroom supplies.
So uncomplicated. Call Cintas. They'll handle all of it.
Wow, one company can handle all that? That's not very complicated.
So, you'll be ready?
Oh, we'll be ready.
Learn how Cintas can help you get ready for the workday. Visit Cintas.com.
When you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes. You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions based on your job requirements. Then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, discussing that Syrian strike ordered by President Trump, Joint Chiefs of Staff General Joseph Dunford described in detail the 3 targets that were struck by U.S. missiles.
The targets that were struck and destroyed were specifically associated with the Syrian regime's chemical weapons program. We also selected targets that would minimize the risk to innocent civilians. The first target was a scientific research center located in the greater Damascus area. This military facility was a Syrian center for the research, development, production, and testing of chemical and biological warfare technology. The second target was a chemical weapons storage facility west of Homs. We assessed that this was the primary location of Syrian sarin and precursor production equipment. The third target, which was in the vicinity of the second target, contained both a chemical weapons equipment storage facility and an important command post.
So those are the targets and the basis for their selection. What did it accomplish other than eliminating those targets and defending a red line that President Obama wouldn't defend? For an answer to that question, we're pleased to be joined by Colonel Cedric Leighton. He is a CNN military analyst who also had previously served the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the National Security Council. Colonel Leighton, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
You bet. Anytime, Dan.
So we got the policy framework and legal framework from Mattis. We got the kind of military details from Dunford. By Sunday, it's reported that Assad had already resumed bombing so-called rebel areas, including civilian homes. So this strike accomplished what exactly?
Well, that's going to be the big problem. We wanted to send a very specific message and go after their chemical research and development and storage facilities, just like General Dunford spoke about. But when it comes to their ability, Syria's government's ability to actually carry out strikes, they can do so. And this particular set of targets was not designed to accomplish that, take care of their helicopters or take care of their fixed-wing aircraft, which are basically on their last legs. But still, it's dangerous for civilians, and they're going to use any opportunity they can, the Syrian government is, to go after these civilian targets because they consider them threats to that government and basically their impediments to their final victory in the Syrian civil war.
Now, Syrian TV, officials on Syrian TV claim that this is a cowardly act, and they said that the missiles missed their marks. Is there any proof that we did accomplish what we set out to do?
Yes, there is proof, Amy, and basically that proof is from the battle damage assessment is what it's called, these pictures that you may have seen in the Pentagon briefing on Saturday. And what they showed, there was also video footage from the ground, in some cases from Syrian TV itself, that showed a lot of structures being damaged by the strikes. So the proof, it's kind of hard to look at intelligence and have a legal standard of proof with that, and that can of course get you into a bit of trouble, as we've seen with Iraq and some other situations. But the proof that we have is not only the pictures that you saw, but also eyewitness accounts, and the further proof will be in terms of their production capability. See how impacted that is, and that will take a longer time to actually determine whether or not that's true. But so far, the Pentagon assessment is, I think, pretty much in concert with what's actually happening.
Well, speaking about their capacity going forward, I mean, it was Dunford in the presser with Mattis that suggested that the taking out of these three targets, the strike, has severely damaged Syria's ability to produce chemical weapons. It has set it back for years, he said, and that has been called into question by other military analysts who suggest that making such an assessment that quickly is unusual and perhaps a bit overstated, and it's probably not the case that it set back Syria's weapons program, chemical weapons program, that long. Number one. Number two, chemical biological weapons are somewhat ubiquitous, so it certainly, this strike doesn't prevent Syria from the Assad regime from using chemical weapons on its own population again.
Well, that last part is absolutely correct. They are not being prevented from using them again. In technical terms, in political terms, they can expect a reaction, especially if they add a nerve agent to chlorine, which is apparently what happened in Duma, which sparked this whole thing. So the assessment is that at that time they used a mix of chlorine and the nerve agents sarin, that it becomes very very dangerous, obviously, for any target. Getting back to the first part of what General Dunford, what you mentioned about General Dunford, yes, I would agree that it is a bit premature to actually say that we have accomplished a setback of their chemical weapons production aspects to that extent. I think there is certainly some setback, but for years, that quote, that may be a bit too far, because they can, like you said, there's a way to reconstitute this. We didn't destroy any of their brain power that was associated with these programs, and as a result of that, they have help from Russia, from Iran, and potentially from North Korea that would also, cause them to have ways to get these weapons back into production and back into use. And so I would be a bit more cautious than General Dunford was in that assessment.
Well, there seems to be no way to avoid being dragged into their 7-year civil war. But over the weekend, at the emergency UN meeting, Nikki Haley said that we have troops in Syria. How long do you think they're going to remain there?
Well, their mission is a different one, supposedly, and that is, to go after ISIS. Now, they have another mission which is not spoken about, and that is to protect the Kurdish elements of the Syrian population and the Kurdish fighters from the Turks, which is our NATO allies. So, the complications that you alluded to, Amy, are absolutely there. How long will they be there? It's hard to say, but I'm thinking they're not going home anytime soon, unfortunately. But I think they're going to be there for probably at least a year, but it really depends on the situation on the ground and how the mission evolves. If it becomes a mission that goes after the Assad regime, then those particular troops may not be involved in that, but there will be other troops, from all the services that would be involved in doing something like that. Depending, it's basically, as Nikki Haley said, all up to the Syrians, and that is something that becomes really important going forward.
Why not target Assad with the missile strikes and go after him the way that Reagan went after the Gaddafi family in the wake of the Lockerbie bombing? Why not go after the head of the chicken?
Well, if it were up to me, I probably would have gone after the head of the chicken in this case. I think Assad is a war criminal, and I think that the quicker we get rid of him or put him, in front of an international tribunal that, a la Nuremberg or something like that, the better off the world will be, and certainly the better off the Syrian people will be. The problem that a lot of policymakers look at when they make decisions like this is what happens afterwards. And if Assad is taken out, who follows him? And nobody knows the real answer to that question.
I think that's a fair point. But if the problem is we don't know who follows Assad, and that's why we're not going to target him, then what is exactly we're doing? Because it seems like for the last 7 years, we've been trying to affect regime change. We're not a humanitarian agency. We're not there to just set up refugee camps. So what exactly is the point of all this if it's not to take him out? And if we don't think we can take him out, then what is the point of being there?
Well, I think that's a really fair point as well, Dan. And my basic view on it is you take the risk. You go in, you take out Assad, or make it very painful for him, which has, in some cases, the same effect. And you let the chips fall kind of where they may, with a bit of controlling, with the, in terms of the fallout from something like that. But I think the real problem is that the policy has been unclear across both the Obama and the Trump administrations. Trump has given it a bit more clarity with the action last year, as well as what just happened over the weekend. But the problem then becomes, if on the one hand you say we're not there for regime change, and yet the problem is the regime, there's an inner contradiction with that, and it's really hard to square that circle.
What about more safe zones, a more stringently enforced no-fly zone, safe zones that we operate? This is something that essentially the Wall Street Journal editorial board is suggesting as next steps, in addition to continuing to put the pressure on Russia through sanctions to eliminate its chemical arms from Syria.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that it was similar to the Wall Street Journal proposal is similar to what Senator McCain advocated even several years ago. I think the idea of safe zones or no-fly zones in certain areas is certainly something to be looked at, and it would put pressure on the Syrian regime. It would take a while. It wouldn't be something that would topple that regime overnight. In some ways it becomes a way in which we get involved very quickly, or even gradually in that horrible civil war. But it's something to be looked at. I would say that in combination, we basically put the whole country into a no-fly zone, and which would, unlike with Iraq back before the last Iraq war, where there were certain areas where Saddam could fly his helicopters, we prevent them from flying all their helicopters. That would have an effect. But right now we've got an issue where the Syrian regime appears to be winning the civil war, and we would have to act very quickly if we wanted to change that.
Right. So if they're winning the civil war, Assad's staying, then it's difficult to make the argument we're doing something material to prevent Iranian hegemony and Russian presence in the Middle East. So, if we're not going to go after Assad, then are people like Jeffrey Sachs right? We should get out of Syria.
Well, that is certainly an argument. My view is that if there is a violation of the laws of war, of the laws of armed conflict, such as there is when you use chemical weapons against a civilian population, you have to take a really hard look at eliminating the regime. So you have basically we're at a fork in the road. Either you do what Jeffrey Sachs says, before you take this guy out, take Assad out, and you do it in a way that that minimizes damage to innocents, but you make sure that the pressure is on. So I think what we have is, as usual, some type of hybrid policy that is leaning more toward eventually getting rid of the Syrian regime, even though they don't always say it that way. And that particular effort is going to be really hard to sustain over the next few years, which would certainly take years if it was to be successful. And the likelihood of its success diminishes every day that advances are made by the Syrian government.
He is Colonel Cedric Leighton, CNN military analyst and security consultant who served on both the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the National Security Council. Colonel Leighton, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate your insights.
You bet, Dan. Anytime. Thank you so much.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up next, another reason to boycott Starbucks. Who's wrong, who's right? We'll explain. But first, here is your forecast. Welcome to winter and spring. Yes, it does look like a winter wonderland out there. And the roads are slick, that's for sure. Today, we're going to have a couple more flurries. Otherwise, by the afternoon, it's just going to be windy and cold and cloudy. A high of 38. Tonight, a low of 26. Won't that be nice? And then tomorrow, no snow, no rain, but it'll still be chilly out. Partly sunny skies, a high of just 44 degrees. The average high this time of year is 52. Now let's get into the alarm detection systems. Traffic center, slick roadways, as I just mentioned. It's pretty dicey on the roadways as well getting to work. Here's Jim Talamonte with all the details.
You're right, Amy. Eastbound Reagan Tollway, it's bottled up from 83 to the Eisenhower through the work zone, and also there's a crash on the outbound Eisenhower at St. Charles in the left lane. There was also an earlier one at Wolf that cleared. The outbound Ike's brutal. It is an hour and 4 minutes downtown to 390. 35 minutes to get to Manheim. Inbound, 46 minutes, 390 to downtown. Eden's 21 minutes, Lake Cook to the junction, outbound 19. Kennedy, 28 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 35. Inbound Stevenson, it's heavy now at 58 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 45 minutes from the Tri-State. Orion, 25 minutes, 95th to the Loop. I-57, 16 minutes, I-80 to the Murray's Bishop Ford, 19. We see delays on the northbound Tri-State, 87th to Archer. Reagan Tollway to the Ike. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Throw out that old flat pillow and buy yourself your very own new MyPillow. Not only will it keep its shape and adjust to your ideal sleeping position, but you can wash and dry it whenever you want. You don't have to take it to the cleaners like those down pillows. And yes, the best MyPillow 4-pack deal is still available. Go online or call now to take advantage of this great deal. By using the promo code Amy, you'll get the MyPillow 4-pack deal, which is 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows at half off. So start spring out right, even if it does look like winter out there. No more headaches or stiff neck with your hypoallergenic, made in America MyPillow. 10-year warranty on that bad boy, 60-day full money-back guarantee. So get your 50% off the MyPillow 4-pack now. Call 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy or visit MyPillow.com. That's MyPillow.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm Mark Gastineau. I played in the NFL for 10 years. I was diagnosed with CTE, with dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. The fruits and vegetables that we take from Balance of Nature is the best thing that we could ever do. And I'm calling in now to order extra because my wife has been taking mine because she sees a difference in me. It is a wonderful thing that Balance of Nature is doing. I hear the testimonies on the radio, but I'm a testimony for myself. And the fruits and vegetables, if I don't take them every single day, my day is not going to go the same. So God bless you, and thank you for what you've done for my wife and I.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first month's order and ship it to you free. Call 800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Spearfishing has or will strike your business, wreaking havoc on your employees, brand, and your bottom line. Spearfishing can't be stopped by traditional email security solutions because messages appear to be legitimate from your boss, a trusted colleague, or a vendor asking you to wire money, confirm login credentials, or worse. Barracuda Sentinel is artificial intelligence for real-time spearfishing and cyber fraud defense. Reclaim your email in minutes with zero impact on network performance. Visit barracuda.com/AI.
It's not easy being a mom, but my Chrysler Pacifica makes soccer practice a little more fun. I can binge all my shows with the available Uconnect Theater, open the Stow and Go seating to grab my hidden romance novel, or just jam out to the radio.
Hey, Mom, what was that song?
Huh? What song? I didn't hear a song.
Chrysler Pacifica. It's loaded with attitude. Chrysler is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Pro-life and a true conservative, Mike Braun is the Christian leader we need in the U.S. Senate. Mike grew up in Jasper, Indiana, and married his high school sweetheart, Maureen. Mike and Maureen came back home after school to raise 4 kids on the same values they grew up on: faith, family, and hard work. 3 of the kids joined the family business, and you'll find the Brauns at church on Sundays. Politicians in Washington have very different values. Let's send Mike Braun to the U.S. Senate to make a difference for us. In Washington, Mike Braun will stand for the right to life, defend traditional family values, and help President Trump confirm strong pro-life judges to the Supreme Court. Christian, pro-life, conservative. Mike Braun for Senate.
I'm Mike Braun, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Mike Braun for Indiana.
AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So it appears Dunkin' Donuts is going to need to launch a Race Together counseling program that specifically targets Starbucks baristas.
Yeah. I mean, you know it's bad when the CEO of Starbucks is going to the store where this incident happened. Of course, this happened on Thursday night. 2 African-American men were at a Starbucks in downtown Philadelphia. They were there to meet a real estate developer, and they didn't order anything to drink because they were just having a meeting there. And they asked to use the bathroom.
They were just loitering in Starbucks like everybody else does.
They were just sitting.
Well, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
It's a community place. That's how Starbucks is selling themselves. That, this is a place where you can come and exchange ideas. It's supposed to have a friendly atmosphere, right, Dan? And one of the African-American gentlemen asked to use the washroom, and the employee said no because you didn't purchase anything. You didn't buy anything. And then she called 911 a few minutes later and claimed that they were trespassing, and police showed up.
Don't get no fight with them. Don't get no fight with them. Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah,
people are defending them.
Well, that's
saying, why are you arrested?
Black guys sitting here meeting me? Yes. Well, what did they do? What did they do? Someone told me what they did.
They didn't do anything. I saw the entire thing.
They didn't. What did they do?
Nothing. And the woman said it's for paying customers after us to eat. They didn't do anything.
And tables are moving because police are, gently getting them up, and then
they're arresting them and taking them out. The male voice you heard was apparently the guy they were supposed to meet with. The guy saying, "This is ridiculous. What did they do?" He was the real estate developer they were supposed to meet with, and then you hear the woman who was there loitering like they were say they didn't do anything. I was sitting here doing nothing like everybody else at Starbucks, and they didn't do anything wrong. So now the reaction has been it's been somewhat appropriate in terms of it's been targeted towards Starbucks, but there have also been some people that suggested that Philadelphia police are somehow in the wrong here. And to be clear, all Philadelphia police did is respond to a trespassing call by an employee at Starbucks. So as Richard Ross, who, by the way, is the Philadelphia police chief and is African-American, said, I mean, they're within their power. This is what police are supposed to do, respond to 911 calls. Don't blame them.
It is important for me to say that, in short, these officers did absolutely nothing wrong. They followed policy. They did what they were supposed to do. They were professional in all their dealings with these gentlemen, and instead they got the opposite back.
Yeah, and no charges were filed, even though they were being ridiculed because, of course, they're the implementation tool of the call that was made.
There was no evidence, they said, to suggest that they were trespassing. But it's bad because the CEO, Kevin Johnson, CEO of Starbucks, is
Where's
flying
Howard
to
Schultz
Philadelphia.
when you need him?
Well, he's flying to Philadelphia because he's calling the arrest reprehensible. And he wants to personally, face-to-face, apologize to those two men. So, but here's the problem. A lot of the stores have a rule, and a spokesperson for Starbucks said the rule is that you cannot use the washroom unless you are a paying customer.
Okay.
That's how it is, but every Starbucks seems to have different rules. Like the old
Well,
Starbucks by Wrigley, you could never use the bathroom unless you purchase something.
Well, yeah, perhaps they have different levels of enforcement, but if that's the corporate policy, that's the corporate policy, fine.
But because the two are African American, the female that called the police on them is white, they're saying that this is a racial issue and how can this happen in this day and age? There were protests last night, again, outside that Starbucks store in Philadelphia.
Well, it does seem to me, I mean, I don't go to Starbucks because Howard Schultz says he doesn't want conservatives to patronize his business, so I'm happy to not. But I don't, I mean, my understanding is that people sit around doing nothing all day. You probably, mostly beneficiaries of transfer payments or transfer payments from their parents. To doing nothing except playing video golf and whatnot on their computers.
Well,
and
people use it as their office. People
Yeah.
that work at home, they'll go to Starbucks for a few hours, do some emails, do some work.
So
and
if
go
these
back
guys,
home.
if these guys said that we're waiting for, we're just hanging out waiting to meet a guy here, would that be unusual at Starbucks?
It's just the fact that they asked to use the bathroom.
Yeah, but okay,
Right.
so we won't use the bathroom. I mean,
Right. It's just
so we don't use the bathroom, so we'll just sit here still. But I mean, I guess the question is, I haven't heard anything where they behaved in a raucous fashion or were confrontational or were upsetting other customers. If the two gentlemen who were arrested had that responded, in such a way to disrupt the environment there, that's another story. But my understanding is they were just sitting there still.
And that's why other customers got up and said, "What are you doing?"
Right.
Kind of like when Dr. Dowell was dragged off the United flight.
Well,
People were wondering,
that's a little bit different.
What are you doing?
No,
Why?
no, Dr. Dow, that's different. He should
He was
still
more vocal.
He should. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those are two gentlemen in
So
Philly.
if they were doing that, then I would be more sympathetic. But Dr. Dow should still be being dragged.
Yeah.
Just on principle. Marty in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Man, there's a lot of hair on this story. There's something we're not being told. Not that anybody did anything wrong or they were arrested simply because they were African American or this girl over here. So we're not being told something here, of course, but everybody with their phones and, of course, that's the new, media is, if it's on their phone like the internet, it's got to be true.
Well,
There's something more to this. Plus, why is a real estate developer having two guys meet me? I'm talking to a real estate developer, and he says, meet me at Starbucks. I'm like, no. Does he have an office? What? I mean, there's a lot more that we're not being told on here.
I don't know.
A lot of people
Thanks
meet
for the
with
call,
realtors
Marty.
at Starbucks to get to know them, to interview each other. Do I want you as my realtor? They don't meet them at their home or
Well,
office.
here's the bottom line, too. No charges were filed.
Yeah, because there's no evidence to suggest there was trespassing.
So that should tell
I
you
just wanted-
something, I think.
Yeah. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
How about that FBI Inspector General report on Andy McCabe? I know Clinton Foundation donor Zero didn't want to interrupt Comey's emoting last night to ask uncomfortable questions, but we'll examine this uncomfortable report if your name's Andy McCabe or Jim Comey at 6:36.
But first, we want to thank one of our listeners, Colleen Ellis Hackman. Colleen Ellis Hackman, you're it. Thanks for listening to AM 560 The Answer. Colleen Ellis Hackman, thanks for making Chicago's Morning Answer and AM 560 part of your day. Now let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
We are following a breaking story. It is just developing in South Carolina this morning, where a prison spokesman has just met reporters. So far, after a massive fight at a maximum security prison, 7 are dead, 17 injured. Again, it's a story we'll follow throughout the morning out of South Carolina. Fired former FBI Director James Comey says the president is not morally fit for office. Comey appeared on ABC's 2020, says it's possible, according to him, the president may have obstructed justice when he pressured him to drop an investigation into former NSA head Michael Flynn. But Comey did go on to say he is not in favor of impeachment of President Trump.
Because I think impeaching and removing Donald Trump from office would let the American people off the hook and have something happen indirectly that I believe they're duty-bound to do directly. People in this country need to stand up and go to the voting booth and vote their values.
Comey says he's not sure if Russia has some kind of leverage over the president. President Trump's lawyers are asking a judge to block federal prosecutors from reviewing documents seized in the raid on his lawyer's office. Legal analyst Danny Savalos explains further.
The basic idea is that you have this set of documents that have now been seized. And the big battle now is who's going to look at them first. Is the government's team going to review them for privilege? Or the Trump's attorney argues, let us review them.
The lawyers arguing that the Justice Department cannot fairly evaluate materials seized from Michael Cohen's office. The U.S. is expected to announce a new round of economic sanctions on Russia today, aimed at pressuring Russia to back off support for Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and Assad's chemical attacks on civilians. A quirk of the calendar is giving Americans a few extra days to get your taxes done. April 15 is traditionally tax deadline, but this year's deadline is the 17th, Tuesday. It's because of the 15th falling on Sunday and a holiday unique to Washington, D.C., Emancipation Day, that hits today. Stocks picture is mixed this morning. European stocks are trending lower while Wall Street futures are looking up. Chicago still dealing with a steady dose of winter on an early spring day. It began with snow Sunday morning, resulted in flooding around Wrigley Field. Roads are slick this morning, and there is a winter weather advisory near the Wisconsin border. An arrest made over the weekend connected with the tainted synthetic marijuana that has sickened and killed many in Illinois. Lonnie Smith of Pekin was arrested over the weekend and charged with drug-induced homicide. Chicago sports, Cubs and Braves postponed on Sunday. That game will be made up May 14. White Sox and Twins also snowed out Sunday for the third straight game. The news, a service of Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage is simple. You can understand the details and be sure you're getting the right mortgage. Apply simply, understand fully, and mortgage confidently. Visit rocketmortgage.com today. Licensed in all 50 states. Equal housing lender, NMLS number 3030. 634. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains what secularism does to a society.
The famous quote from the end of the 19th century is, when people stop believing in God, they don't believe in nothing, they believe in anything. Because wisdom begins with fear of God. Sorry, secularists out there, you are guaranteed a dumb society when you've got rid of God and the Bible.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Stop by a Subway restaurant for the new double meat signature wraps for just $6.99 each. Prices may vary. Additional charge for extras plus applicable tax. Double meat based on average 6-inch sub.
You've heard us say if your roof is needy,
call Crumweedy.
Also, if your gutters, siding, windows, or entry door is needy,
call Crumweedy.
What's that all about?
This is Mark Olson
and Greg Olson, the boys from Crumweedy.
We created a special deal just for you. Replace your roof and receive free gutters. Or replace the siding or windows on your home and receive a free entry door.
We'll do a great job, and you'll get the Crumweedy promise of installation that is up to manufacturer specifications, so your warranty is intact.
And get free gutters or an entry door as a thank you. Some restrictions apply, and this special won't last long.
We fix roof, siding, and window problems. We're here. We're a third-generation family business that was built on the same conservative values as you. If your home is needy,
call Crumweedy.
630-595-8020. 630-595-8020.
Get all the info at myroofisneedy.com. myroofisneedy.com.
Dan Proft here, and I'm here with my guy, Ryan Kelly, at thehomeloanexpert.com. Ryan, one of the things I like about you, you're a hustler, you're a go-getter. Is it really true that you and your team will drive anywhere in Chicagoland so that your clients don't have to sit in the notorious Chicagoland traffic?
Oh, you better believe it. A mortgage is just too big of an investment, too big of a product to be done on an app or maybe through email only. And I feel that it's very important to at least get together with our clients for the application process. meaning if you're looking to refinance or buy a home, give us a call, 773-770-4727. That's 770-4727. Or you can always apply online at thehomeloanexpert.com. We'll gather some information. I will work you up your options, call you back. We'll review your options, compare where you are, and compare the new loan. If you say, hey, this is a great fit in what it's looking for, I'll come out and I'll meet you at your home or office. No one does that. Customer service, no one can match. TheHomeLoanExpert.com. The Home Loan Expert LLC, Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee.
It is 6:37. Let's get a quick check on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Edens is 28 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 21. Kennedy, 40 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 50. Eisenhower, now an hour and 5 minutes. 390 to downtown, outbound an hour and 10 with a crash past St. Charles. Stevenson, an hour, 3:55 to the drive. Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Reagan, Tollway slow from the Orbital to Farnsworth, and 83 to the Eisenhower. Traffic service of Staples. Staples has low prices on a huge selection of ink, paper, and the latest printers. Now at Staples, get 50% off the HP OfficeJet Pro 6900 series this week only at Staples, your total printing solution. While supplies last, valid on SKU 2256781, ends 421. That's traffic at AM 560.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. A couple of morning flurries, otherwise cloudy, windy, and cold, high 38. Clearing, breezy, cold, low 26. 44 tomorrow, 47 on Wednesday, 46 Thursday. Friday, finally the change. We'll top out at 52. Currently 27 at O'Hare. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
No Victocrats allowed. Why? Because we've got a country to save. Join me, Larry Elder, tonight starting at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And this story was underreported over the weekend because, of course, of the strike in Syria, as well as the
big interview.
The anticipation of that big nothing burger between Clinton Foundation donor Zero and Comey, which we'll get to. But the Inspector General Horowitz at FBI released a 35-page report detailing the conduct of central was the detail of Andy McCabe, former FBI deputy director's conduct. And here's what we find out. Catherine Herridge, reporting for Fox News, she summarized it nicely.
McCabe had violated 3 ethics violations of the FBI, which was lying under oath, lying not under oath, and then also the disclosure of non-public information. And what we see in the Inspector General's report, the first headline to me is that this actually began as a leak investigation to understand why the Wall Street Journal in October of 2016, so just before the election, disclosed information about the existence of the FBI investigation into the Clinton Foundation. And if you come back to me a moment, the key paragraph, the key section is right here, and it reads in part, "We concluded that McCabe's decision to confirm the existence of the Clinton Foundation investigation through an anonymously sourced quote, recounting the content of a phone call with a senior department official in a manner designed to advance his personal interests at the expense of department leadership." So the bottom line is that the former deputy director was in a position to authorize the release of this information, but the Inspector General concluded that he did so not because it was in the public interest, but because it was simply in Andrew McCabe's interest to protect his reputation and that of his family as well.
And when Catherine Harris says family, she's, of course, talking specifically about his wife, who was receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars, had received hundreds of thousands of dollars, $675,000 to be specific, from Terry McAuliffe, the Virginia governor, and Clintonista, former DNC head, to McCabe's wife's failed 2015 state Senate campaign. And so when Devlin Barrett at the Wall Street Journal wrote about that, McCabe went into damage control and reputation protection, as Catherine Harris summarized. And he lied, and he lied, and he lied, and he manipulated to make himself the hero who is impenetrable to political pressure, political alliances. And point of fact, that wasn't the case. And this is what he was doing. Basically, just to sum it up in a sentence, he caused sensitive information, law enforcement information, to be leaked to the Journal, then lied to investigators about having done so.
So the cover-up and the crime are pretty bad.
So here's how it went down, according to this Inspector General report. McCabe learned that Wall Street Journal reporter was working on a follow-up story that would cover McCabe's oversight of the FBI's investigation of the Clinton Foundation and connections with the McAuliffe-controlled campaign contributions to McCabe's wife. Consequently, McCabe directed, here we go, FBI lawyer Lisa Page.
Oh, she's back.
Oh, sure she is.
How's her and her relationship with Peter Strzok?
It's a very happy, incestuous little family, though, over there at FBI. By the way, this was all happening under whose watch? Whose watch? Who's the FBI director at the time?
Mr. Comey.
Don't ask him about that, though, Georgie boy.
I don't know.
So, consequently, McCabe directs Lisa Page to discuss this upcoming follow-up article that the Wall Street Journal reporter is going to do. He told her to tell the reporter how McCabe resisted pressure to shut down the FBI investigation of the Clinton Foundation in a telephone conversation with a Justice Department official. That's what Harrods was referring to. This leaked story, this is George Perry kind of summarizing this, who's a former prosecutor in The Spectator. The leaked story of McCabe's bureaucratic heroism was calculated to override the claims by those agents lower down the FBI food chain who said that McCabe had shut down the Clinton Foundation investigation. I'm not running interference for the Clintons. I'm a hero standing up to the Clintons. The Inspector General report sets forth how McCabe denied to FBI Director James Comey that he had anything to do with the leak, then repeated those denials under oath to the FBI Inspection Division agents, and also before Congress, as we've seen and talked about. But as the evidence mounted, McCabe began to change his story to fit the emerging facts, ultimately admitting to agents that he was the source of the leak. So he lied under oath when he told the OIG's investigators that he was not aware of whether FBI lawyer Page had ever been authorized to speak to reporters. Why did he lie? Because he's the one who authorized her to speak to the Wall Street Journal reporter.
It's too bad that story got buried. I mean, really.
Well,
it was just a little blip.
It's not going to go away, and this is not just Andy McCabe in a vacuum. It's Andy McCabe, the deputy director, chief lieutenant of Jim Comey, who's running around doing all the variety shows this week. And I suspect at some point it'll either be raised in an interview by some intrepid, talk show host. I don't know. Maybe who's the
which one?
Maybe,
he's got to be on The View tomorrow.
Maybe Regis and Kathy Lee will ask her.
No,
are they still on?
Regis is gone now. It's
Phil
Ryan,
Donahue. Maybe Phil Donahue will ask her. What about Sally Jesse Raphael? Maybe she'll ask her. Rolanda? Will Rolanda ask her? Who do you think may ask?
Wendy Williams? What other shows?
Who's going to bring this subject up?
Harry Connick Jr. has a show.
Harry Connick Jr. What about late night, the Chevy Chase late night show or the Magic Hour? You think that'll be it? Holman Jenkins has a good piece in Wall Street Journal about this. Trust but verify applies to the FBI. When we hold law enforcement accountable, we protect freedom. That this question that keeps coming back throughout these incidents with the Parkland school shooting, with terrorist attacks that were not foiled, failures by law enforcement at every level, isolated cases, not taking away from the generally great work that law enforcement does, okay? But you hold people accountable when they fail or when they lie and otherwise are bad actors, regardless of the respect you want to confer to their position and profession. And that's what, thankfully, the Inspector General seems to be doing in this case of McCabe and, by extension, Comey. And that's what a lot of people throughout the last couple of years have done intermittently with respect to Comey and questioning his judgment calls. I wish Stephanopoulos was one of those, but he proved on Sunday night that he's not. But this is important stuff.
I mean, he had 5 hours of questioning. 5 hours, and they condensed it into 1 hour, and he didn't get off one question about Andy McCabe.
He was too busy going through the scrapbook of family photos.
It was, I mean, one part of this interview, it might even be too disgusting to replay, but why not? When they talked about his initial meeting at Trump Tower to tell him about the PP tape.
How weird was that briefing?
Really weird. It was almost an out-of-body experience for me. I was floating above myself, looking down, saying, you're sitting here briefing the incoming president of the United States about prostitutes in Moscow.
Oh, my, I mean, the hyperbole. It's like two ladies gathering to talk about gossip.
Because he said, if there's even a 1% chance my wife thinks that's true, that's terrible. And I remember thinking, how could your wife think there's a 1% chance you were with prostitutes peeing on each other in Moscow? I'm a flawed human being, but there's literally zero chance that my wife would think that was true. So what kind of marriage to what kind of man does your wife think there's only a 99% chance you didn't do that? And I said to him, sir, when he started talking about it, I may order you to investigate that. I said, sir, that's up to you, but you'd want to be careful about that because it might create a narrative that we're investigating you personally. And second, it's very difficult to prove something didn't happen.
Yeah, you better be careful about opening the door to those what kind of man questions there, Jimbo. I've launched a bit of a haiku challenge because I thought there were several moments when Comey was, several particularly poignant moments where Comey was on the verge of breaking into haiku. Like, for example, recounting his last flight on the FBI's private plane.
Oh, and the wet bar.
Yeah, how much he's going to miss the beer nuts on that Concorde or whatever it is. So here, there is some offerings. They're pretty good, actually. We've got a lot of budding poets
and by the
there.
way, Comey declined to confirm or deny the existence of that tape.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Again, there's no news from the Comey interview, other than to me.
Yeah.
I mean, this was public information, of course, but to me, that his family, rest of his family, are a bunch of peahats. Yeah. And that Comey, when Sessions left the room, that famous one-on-one meeting with Comey and Trump, after other officials had left, please, Jeff, don't go.
Yeah, I want to talk to you.
Right, grabbed onto his
and he looked,
right
he
leg.
talked about the size of his hand.
Comey was afraid that Trump was going to grab his. Okay, here are the haikus. Mark Toman tweeting, acting virtuous, purposely I messed it up here. Make sure this is 575. Acting virtuous, purposely uncomprehending and vain, he shouts, Comey is my name. It's pretty good. All right, here, Holly from Hudson, haiku.
Yes.
Full of virtue I, tortured by my humbleness, whine in my solo.
Nice, Holly.
That's good. All right,
her.
let's see. Daryl Niaz. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right.
Sounds good to me.
All right. It's all on Twitter, by the way, if you want to join the haiku challenge.
Okay.
I'm a helpless man. He made me pledge my loyalty. Wish I were stronger.
Ooh.
Okay. Nice. All right. Those are some good offerings.
What do you have to offer?
I haven't done one. I don't
it's
think
going to be spectacular when you do.
I don't. I'm more of a sonnet guy than a haiku guy. Yeah. So
I'll come up with one.
I'll do a James Burns offering for Comey here at some point. Jim in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
What kind of person does that kind of interview? I mean, back, I'm almost 60 years old, and I got Edward R. Murrow would not conduct that kind of. Walter Cronkite would not conduct that kind of interview.
And neither one of those two will ever be.
Detail.
Yeah, neither one of those two will ever be confused for George Stephanopoulos. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Thanks for the call, Jim. Robert Burns, of course. I've got Jim Comey on the mind.
James.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
I'm Michael Harrington in for Lou Dobbs. The EU wants to hear from Zuckerberg. The NRA endorses a Georgia politician who led a fight against Delta. Those stories next.
Hi, this is Jack from Banyan Hill. You might have heard about that $34.6 billion that's expected to be doled out in what we call freedom checks. Huge checks that are changing people's lives from coast to coast. People like Sean from Pittsburgh. In fact, he's on the phone right now. Sean, you there?
Yes, I am, Jack.
Sean, let me ask you, how do you like getting these massive checks in your mailbox every month?
Well, Jack, we used to put stuff on credit cards living paycheck to paycheck. But now, after we started collecting a specific kind of Freedom Check, I have to say, life's a lot more fun.
I bet it is. In fact, getting massive Freedom Checks is fun no matter who you are. And with $34.6 billion expected to be paid out in private, non-government money starting as early as May 1st, now's the time to stake your claim on some cash. To get all the details, go to www.freedomchecks126.com before the May 1st deadline. That's www.freedomchecks126.com.
The European Union is calling on Mark Zuckerberg to testify at the legislature of the 28-nation bloc. It wants the Facebook CEO to talk about his company's widening data privacy scandal. Up to 2.7 million people in the EU may have been a victim of improper data sharing by Facebook. The National Rifle Association has endorsed Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle in the Georgia governor's race. 2 months ago, Cagle publicly vowed to punish Delta Airlines for cutting business ties with the NRA. Tesla CEO Elon Musk says his car company will be profitable in the third and fourth quarters of this year and will not have to raise any money from investors. Tesla has consistently fallen short of promised production targets and is fighting bad publicity over a fatal crash of a car using its autopilot system. Please join Lou Dobbs tonight at 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Ever hire a plumber at an odd time for an emergency? The hourly rate could send you into cardiac arrest. It'd be nice to have someone on call 24/7 for those once every few year emergencies, but probably not necessary. Now your business is IT? That's a completely different story. The potential for problems if your IT system isn't properly maintained could be more than those once every few year plumbing backups. For peace of mind, turn to Turnkey IT. Their monthly support contracts will keep your business's computer systems online and running well. No more waiting for an hourly IT tech to get back to you and charging you an enormous after-hours rate. The certified pros at Turnkey will keep your business's computer system online with unlimited on-site and remote support. And for a limited time, you can save up to $500 a month on a support contract, plus unlimited cloud backup at no cost. Get the secure feeling your business backbone is supported by Turnkey IT.
Leave the technical stuff to the pros so you can focus on the important things. Visit turnkey.pro today. Turnkey.pro.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I can't thank you enough for this product. Because I get up in the morning, I take 6 capsules of the fruit, and I get this wonderful wellness feeling and alertness. And you got to understand, I'm 90 years old.
It's really helped me and my husband and my son a lot, with our immune systems. We haven't been sick. We've been avoiding, all of that. So I'm really happy with that.
This is a wonderful product. I mean, it's just I just feel so different.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first month's order and ship it to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Our freedom and security are made possible through the service and sacrifice of our military and first responders. The Gary Sinise Foundation provides many outreach programs supporting these brave men and women. Join us. Donate at GarySiniseFoundation.org.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Amanda Zanger, owner of Black Industrial and Safety Supply in Hammond, Indiana, and a business customer of Signature Bank. Prior to owning my own business, I worked for a major financial institution. So when it came time to finance the acquisition of Black, I approached a big bank, only to receive a solid no. That's when Signature Bank stepped in. With Signature Bank, the process was different. Signature provided creative financing options that enabled me to purchase Black and continue to grow the business. Thanks to Signature Bank, Black Industrial is able to continue serving Fortune 500 industry fabricators and contractors with tools and safety supplies as we have since 1893.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hi, can I help you? Yes, I have a snoring problem. Can you describe it for me, please? Well, it's about 5'11" with curly hair and a mustache. I see.
Introducing Mute, sleep technology that opens the nose to increase airflow by an average of 38% so you and your partner can enjoy a good night's sleep. Mute. Breathe more, snore less, sleep better. Available now at Walgreens, CVS and GNC.
I'm Amy Errett, founder and CEO of Madison Reed, a company that's revolutionizing the way women color their hair, a company I named after my daughter. Madison Reed is the ultimate hair color hack. The quality of a salon, the convenience and affordability of at-home hair color, and an ammonia-free formula with ingredients you could feel good about. Find your perfect shade at madison-reed.com and get 10% off plus free shipping on your first purchase. Use code RADIANTHAIR.
Shoot Point Blank is Chicago's leading shooting range and firearms store. Featuring 20 climate-controlled shooting lanes, complete retail store, and firearm education classes for all experience levels. Whether you're a new or expert shooter, now you can experience the Shoot Point Blank difference and see for yourself why so many people are talking about Shoot Point Blank.
I can tell you, I was impressed as soon as I walked through the door. The employees were really helpful, very patient, and knowledgeable, too.
My wife and I had a wonderful experience. We felt very comfortable and informed.
Brett was very friendly and respectful, and he answered all my questions. Because I'm new to pistols, I'm grateful he was patient and helped me decide what to buy for my new firearm.
For a huge selection of new and used firearms, ammo, and state-of-the-art indoor shooting range, visit them in Hodgkins, Mokina, Naperville, or Merrillville. Or check out shootpointblank.com. Experience the difference. Shoot Point Blank.
There's always that time of day when the sun creates havoc at the office.
This is ridiculous.
You're literally blinded by the light. Can't see a thing on your computer monitor and feel like you're baking in an oven. Make your office or storefront distraction-free with custom shades from 1-800-4-BLINDS. You'll keep your customers comfortable, protect furnishings and decor from fading, and have happy, productive employees that don't have to stop in the middle of a project because of the glare. 1-800-4-BLINDS can get the job done quickly with their local in-house installation crew. You'll save money on window treatments that not only look great, but will also help you shrink utility bills with special heat-reducing shades that can trap heat between the window and shade. They also offer custom painted solar shades with your logo or photo image printed directly on the shade. Get the sun out of your eyes. Call 1-800-4-BLINDS direct for a consultation today. 773-447-5448 or visit 1-800-4blindchicago.com. That's 1-800-4blindchicago.com.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
He's not morally fit for the job. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what fired FBI Director James Comey says about President Trump, who calls Comey slippery and a slime ball again. Fox's Rachel Sutherland is live in Washington.
Dave Comey told ABC News President Trump may have committed obstruction of justice when he asked him to back off the Michael Flynn investigation, and he compared the president to a mafia boss.
The boss is at the head of the table, and we're going to figure out together how to do this.
Comey also said that after he was fired, then Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly called him and said he was going to quit.
Because he wouldn't work for people who would treat someone like me in such a dishonorable way.
Comey said he begged him not to, saying this president needs people of character and principle around him. Dave.
Rachel, President Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, goes to federal court today, a week after he was targeted in FBI raids. The U.S. is readying new sanctions on Russia for backing the Syrian regime. Moscow condemns the U.S. airstrikes on Syria for the reported deadly chemical attack.
I think everyone is going to feel it at this point. I think everyone knows that we sent a strong message, and our hope is that they listen to it.
U.S. Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley on CBS. Fights broke out last night at a prison in South Carolina. 7 inmates are dead, 17 others injured. It took guards and police nearly 8 hours to finally secure the Lee Correctional Institution at about 3 a.m. Nasty weather tore through the Carolinas, including a tornado doing damage, knocking out power to thousands.
These storms take a lot of time to recover from.
Greensboro City Manager Jim Westmoreland says a man was killed when a tree fell on his car. The Boston Marathon will start in 40 minutes. The mobility impaired races will start first. 5 years after the finish line bombings that left 3 people dead.
Canine dogs are a common sight along the 26.2-mile route. This year, they'll also have drones in the air monitoring the situation, and all spectators will be screened.
Michael Henrich with Fox 25 TV. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Light snow showers, 30 degrees. Northwest winds at 13 give us a wind chill of 15 above. At 7:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago gets a steady dose of winter on this early spring day. It began with heavy snowfall Sunday morning in Zion. Snow and ice and a tree crashing into a two-story home, flooding around Wrigley Field. This morning, roads continue to be slick with moderate snow expected to continue. No one hurt after a house caught fire over the weekend in Oswego. Authorities say the blaze broke out late Saturday night. All of those inside were able to get out safely by the time firefighters arrived. The home is a total loss. An arrest has been made connected with the synthetic tainted marijuana that has sickened many and killed 3. Lonnie Smith of Pekin was arrested over the weekend, charged with drug-induced homicide linked to the poisoning of 126, and again the deaths of 3. In some cases, the drug was found to contain rat poison. One man is dead after a Metro train hit a vehicle on Chicago's far south side. Metro says the incident happened yesterday between 119th and 115th in the city's Morgan Park neighborhood. A Texas man has been charged with the first-degree murder of his girlfriend, who was shot to death last week on Chicago's west side. Sun-Times reports that 38-year-old Kendrick Owens of Fort Worth, Texas, was ordered held without bail by a Cook County judge after a weekend hearing. He's scheduled back in court later today. Cubs and Braves postponed on Sunday. The game will be made up May 14. Twins and White Sox snowed out for a third straight day. The news, a service of Staples. Staples can help your business stand out with custom printed signs, banners, and brochures. Now at Staples, spend $50 or more on print and marketing services and get $5 off your next in-store purchase. Standout materials equals outstanding results. Offer in-store only, N623. Exclusions apply at Staples. 7:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity just wants jobs to stay in America.
That these auto companies are now building their plants, their factories right here in America, and so many are now committing to doing it. I want American-built cars, and I don't care if it's Honda. I don't care if they're building the cars here and they're American jobs here. That's what I care about.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
How would you like a second source of income without having to work a second job? Does that sound just about too good to be true? Well, my friends at Online Trading Academy can show you how other people are doing this every day. You see, they have a patented core strategy that can help you learn how to follow what the big banks on Wall Street are doing and how profits are being made when the market goes up and even when it goes down. Right now, they are offering a free Wall Street Insider Kit, so you can get started right away. Just call 888-984-TRADE. You'll get 2 online classes, instructional videos, and a guide that will help you learn to build that second income. It's all free. Call 888-984-TRADE. They will even throw in 2 free tickets to an upcoming workshop, so you can ask questions and learn more. The market is making all kinds of moves. Are you ready to move with it? Call 888-984-TRADE. 888-984-8723. Call 888-984-TRADE.
Let's see here. Fire protection?
Check.
Uniforms, mats, and restroom products?
Check.
First aid cabinets and safety products?
Check.
Great! So it sounds like we're ready to go.
No. When I said check, I meant we still need to check on all those things.
Just call Cintas. They can handle all of it. It's what they do.
Okay, call Cintas. Check. Got it.
Oh, I'm ready! Learn how Cintas can help you get ready for the workday. Visit Cintas.com.
When it comes to hiring, you don't have time to waste. You need to get to a short list of qualified candidates fast. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions based on your job requirements. Then zero in on qualified candidates using our intuitive online dashboard. Your time is precious. Let Indeed help you get to your short list of qualified candidates. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed.
7:07. It's get a check on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. On the outbound Eisenhower, in the area between Wolf and past St. Charles, had a number of crashes this morning. It's really icy, and the latest one is past St. Charles, blocking 2 right lanes. The jam starts at Laramie. It is an hour and 23 minutes to get from downtown to 390. Inbound, it's an hour and 13 minutes. Crash at Central on the right shoulder. Eden's 31 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 21. Kennedy, 49 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. 23 from Montrose, 18 of the Express. Outbound an hour to the airport. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 50 minutes. Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 25 minutes, I-80 to the Merge. Bishopwood, 30. Southbound Tri-State heavy the Adams Tollway to 190. Northbound 95th to 31st. And from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Reagan and Veterans Memorial are heavy too. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, a couple of morning flurries, otherwise mostly cloudy, windy, and cold with a high 38. Breezy and cold with clearing tonight, low 26. Tomorrow, partly sunny and chilly, high 44. Cold night with some clouds tomorrow night with a low 32. I'm AccuWeather's Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
28 at O'Hare, 28 along the lakefront. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. We'll get to Jim Comey momentarily, but I have to remember a couple of important people who have passed on to their eternal reward. We'll take your
what are you saying?
Chupacabra sightings all morning, UFO conspiracy theories. Art Bell has passed away.
That's right.
Art Bell passed away over the weekend at the age of 72. Art Bell, of course, nationally syndicated conspiracy theorist who focused in on Area 51 and UFOs and the supernatural. And
I like Art Bell. He was a nice guy. Oh, see?
Oh, there it is.
Art Bell.
I mean, it's fun, you know. It's as long as you.
Well, he believed in ghosts, as I do too. I mean, you know.
I know, and I don't know.
So much in common.
I don't want to speak out of school, but I know you are in the running to replace Art Bell, and his.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
I had a fire
Coast
in my
to
house,
coast.
and my great grandma woke me up.
Was
the
she
spirit of the ghost of my great grandma? I smelled her in the room.
Was she accompanied by Sasquatch?
No, she nudged me, woke me up. I'm not kidding you.
And then you guys went for a ride on the Loch Ness Monster?
No, then I went to the bathroom and I said, "Oh my gosh, I smell smoke." And I went back in. My bed was engulfed in flames.
Yeah.
Nana woke me up. Nana had died 3 weeks prior to my fire.
And a
in our
Yeti
house.
carried you both to safety?
It's a true story.
No,
I don't know.
of course.
I mean,
No.
ask my mom.
No,
You will, because she's coming to Mexico with us.
No, great.
It'd be awesome.
Have a chance to share ghost stories on the beach. Okay. So anyway, Art Bell. Thank you for many years of interesting radio. Respected colleague of sorts. And then Arlie Ermy. You know Arlie Ermy.
Parents have any children that live?
Sir, yes, sir.
I bet they regret that. You're so ugly you could be a modern art masterpiece.
You're the lowest form of life on earth. You're not even human beings. You are nothing but unorganized, grabastic pieces of amphibian shit. Because I am hard, you will not like me. But the more you hate me, the more you will learn. I am hard, but I am fair. There is no racial bigotry here. I do not look down on niggers, kites, wops, or greasers. Here you are all equally worthless.
Well, yeah,
that now these days.
Watch out.
But
we're quoting him from Full
Right.
Metal Jacket. So, blame Stanley Kubrick. You can't because he's with R. Lee Ermey. But here's the thing.
Yeah, they cast him perfectly because he
Yeah.
used to be a Marine. Well,
Correct.
once a Marine, always a Marine.
Yes,
so
that's
it was
right.
perfect.
And he served 14 months at Vietnam before serving as a technical advisor, actually, on Apocalypse Now, and then getting his big break with Full Metal Jacket. So, yeah.
And then over the weekend, CBS accidentally killed off First Lady Barbara Bush.
CBS did report Barbara Bush had passed on.
And she
that's
hasn't.
Not true.
No, she's just seeking comfort care. I know that she has COPD. She was recently hospitalized, and now she's at home with comfort care. And both of her sons have been to visit her, her grandchildren, and she is not gone yet.
How is Jeb Bush as related to? How is he with Barbara as related to
his son?
HW.
What do you like to do, though? What do I like to do? To relax. To relax? I like to do Sunday Fun Day with my two precious granddaughters that live in Miami with Jeb Jr. and Sandra. I make guacamole.
No, but I want to know what his relationship
about
is with his mother as compared to his father, who I know he'd really go to bat for. I mean, what's he going to do to CBS
I love my
News?
dad. I'd kill for my dad.
Yeah.
I'd die for my dad.
Yeah, I mean, CBS
I'd
News.
kill for my dad.
CBS News better have the heads up there.
Yes.
You don't want to get on the wrong side of Jeb.
Yeah, but there's prayers all over the country and all over the world for First Lady Barbara Bush.
All right, switching gears. Jim Comey, the much publicized, much promoted interview last night with Clinton Foundation donor Zero. It was literally an hour. If those of you who didn't watch, we did for you. An hour of sawing sawdust and just allowing Jim Comey to emote over things that he's previously said, mainly in testimony before Congress, some of in leaked format to a Columbia professor, but there was just nothing new there. And of course, the real news was the questions that weren't asked by Clinton Foundation donor Zero about subjects like Andy McCabe and the FBI Inspector General report.
Yeah, and he apparently had his Me Too moment, James Comey did.
He said, I expect loyalty, I need loyalty. And I just stared at him and had this little narrative with myself inside saying, don't you move, don't you dare move, don't even blink.
Why not say no?
I think because I was caught totally by surprise.
I mean, it's so ridiculous.
Me Too moment.
What is so
Honestly,
difficult? What is so difficult? You want if something like that, Mr. President, just to make it clear, I don't know what you're suggesting, but my loyalty is to the enforcement of the law, the equal enforcement of the law, equal justice under the law. That's my loyalty, plain and simple. And the president would have said, of course it is, and then you would have moved on. This idea that this was some kind of watershed moment or it was just such an overwhelming moment for the frackin' FBI director. Are you serious?
Well,
this
he's
guy,
calling it obstruction.
This guy, no, he's not. He's saying he doesn't know. This guy is a punk and a simp and a jellyfish.
Was President Trump obstructing justice?
Possibly. I mean, it's certainly some evidence of obstruction of justice.
What will it mean if President Trump tries to fire Robert Mueller?
It would, I hope, set off alarm bells that this is his most serious attack yet on the rule of law.
I mean, he is so angry still that he got fired. It's obvious.
The actual follow-up question for a professional interviewer.
Yeah.
Obstruction of justice, possibly. There's some evidence of it. Oh, really? What's the evidence?
Yeah. And isn't there an ongoing investigation right now? And as a former FBI director, you shouldn't be talking. You should shut your mouth. I mean, the fact that he wrote a book is one thing. Now he's going on this, promoting it because he wants to make money. He wants to get his reputation back. But I think he's destroying his reputation. I know, but then...
and so do a lot of former colleagues at FBI.
Yeah. And then there's the oh no face. All right. So when James Comey met President Trump for the first time, remember that he walked across the room to shake his hand?
He was trying to hide by the drapes, according to Jim Comey, hoping that this, the 6'8" goon with his blue suit would blend into the blue drapery.
But his wife knew what was really happening.
I know that's my oh no face.
Well, that's not exactly what Patrice said, is it?
I don't want to say it on television. She said that's Jim's oh face.
Jim Comey was getting his own O-face on.
I'm thinking I might take that new chick from logistics. Things go well, I might be showing her my O-face. Oh. You know what I'm talking about. Oh. Yeah.
We know what you're talking about, Jim. We sure do. We have this haiku challenge to properly capture all of Jim Comey's poignant moments, and Holly from Hudson has been quite prolific on this score.
Got more?
Yeah. Here. Let me try this one out for you. Count along, please, while I read, because I want to make sure this is 575, so it's a qualified entry.
Okay.
Yeah. Alone in the world, only I fight Mr. Small. He wins and I sob.
Nice.
It's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's some good poetry.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, one of our favorites, Lake County Sheriff Mark Kern on the Illinois GOP. But first, here's your forecast. Welcome to winter. Yeah, not fun out there. I don't think you'll have to shovel, but the roads are pretty slick. And we're going to have a couple more flurries this morning. Otherwise, by this afternoon, mostly cloudy. Windy, very cold, a high of 38 degrees. You factor in the wind chill, it'll be in the 20s. Tonight, a low of 26. And then tomorrow, partly sunny, chilly, a high of just 44 degrees. Let's get into the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Dan. The outbound Eisenhower is really rough. Got another crash now. This one on the extension past York Road. We're looking at an hour and 24 minutes to get from downtown to 390, 50 minutes to get to Manheim, in about an hour and 7 minutes, 390 to downtown. Edens is 31 minutes, Lake Hook to the junction, outbound 26. Kennedy, 58 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound, it's an hour and 4 minutes. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 50 minutes. Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound heavy from the Adams Tollway to 190. Northbound, very slow, 95th to 31st and Roosevelt to North Avenue. It's about Adams Tollway type Meacham to 53, and from Lee to Kennedy. Reagan Tollway delays Yackley to 53, and from Tri-State to the Ike. Northbound Veterans Memorial, so Boughton to Roosevelt, and Army Trail to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Stan Proft, I'm excited to tell you about the Dangerous Camp for boys and over 20 other summer day camps from Northridge Prep. What's Dangerous Camp? It's a camp designed to get your boys off their iPads, iPhones, and video games this summer. It's dangerously fun, not unsafe. They throw water balloons, play games, and learn the meaning of outdoor adventure. As a listener to the morning show, you've heard me talk about Northridge Prep, the all-boys school in Niles that instills the traditional values you hold as parents. Their summer programs for boys grades 1 through 8 combine fun, adventure, and character growth. You won't find camps like this anywhere else. A few camps caught my eye, like basketball. Basketball camps led by former NCAA Division I coach Will Ray. Yeah. Varsity players as well. Battles of the Civil War, bugs and botany, intro to musical improv. Even a robotics camp where campers learn to build, pilot, and code their own robots. Get your son off the couch and into the outdoors. You can learn more and register online at northridgeprep.org. That's northridgeprep.org.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
Dr. Howard has made a great product. I'm so glad that I started taking it.
I listened to all the commercials on the radio. I said, they're right. They're right. I can verify they're right. I feel younger than my years. That make me feel good.
I've been very delighted with Balance of Nature. I have not had a cold in probably 2 or 3 years, whatever I'm on your program. And I also have been told that I don't look my age, which is another good thing because my skin is so nice.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first month's order and ship it to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
As a parent, you want what's best for your children. That means sending them to a school where they'll get the superior education they deserve, and that also shares your values. That can be tricky these days, as public schools have changed and private schools can be expensive. Your household budget has already been cut to the bone, and it's hard to imagine where you'll find that extra money. Well, there's help to lessen that financial burden and provide your child with the very best education at half the cost. At AM 560 The Answer, we work with private schools throughout the Chicagoland area to provide tuition for families at half the normal cost. Just log on to halfpriceschools.com and you'll find some of Chicagoland's finest private schools, from preschool all the way through high school, at half the cost. And chances are there's a school right in your neighborhood. Invest in your child's education and future at halfpriceschools.com. A limited number of half-price vouchers are available. Go to halfpriceschools.com now.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy back. Just Holly from Hudson is just
She's
dominating
killing
the
it.
Haiku challenge. I just want to...
Read the last
This
one.
is really her artistic outlet, no question about it. Drapes cannot protect. My O face emerges now. Small hand reaches out. It's very, very
Wow.
good. Very good. Very powerful. Thank you. Thank you, Holly from Hudson. All right, switching gears. The Ronner Party, which I just hit me over the weekend, rhymes with Donner Party.
Oh.
And, of course, they left from Springfield to head out west. And similarly, the Ronner Party preaches unity while practicing cannibalism of conservatives. And that continues from the primary to the contest for seats on the State Central Committee, the governing body of the Illinois Republican Party. That governing body will next month select a state party chairman. And Ronner and his henchmen are trying to protect Tim Schneider, the Cook County Commissioner / state party chairman, who is facing a conservative uprising similar to the one Ronner faced in the primary. And for more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by Lake County Sheriff and Republican activist Mark Curran. Mark, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
You got it. Hi, Dan and Amy.
So why don't we start with just...
Usually I'm listening to my car. The reception's not as good in the house, so I don't know who preceded me.
Oh, okay.
I should have the podcast, I know.
Well, let's talk about the state party chairmanship and whether you think it's time for Tim Schneider to be replaced as state party chairman.
Absolutely. So Tim Schneider, I don't think anybody knows where he's at on, issues that are important to Republicans right now. Really, if you look at nationally and even in the General Assembly, everybody's pro-life. I mean, where's this guy? And he doesn't reflect us. And you look at what happened in the presidential primary. Trump and Cruz accounted for 70% of the vote. So we are a conservative party. That's where our base is. Tim Schneider, liberal, elected from the border of Cook County. He hasn't been up to Lake County. We don't know who he is. Obviously he's one of Governor Rauner's friends. Big money insider, and there's no energy there. They don't respect us. They get involved in primaries, and as you said, Dan, the party is, talk about divided. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't think you've ever seen this type of a backlash as it looks for the
and just to put a fine point on it, I mean the purge continues. The Ronner and Schneider and their allies have called for conservatives to leave the party, and that they have put candidates up against conservative current members of the State Central Committee who are conservative. So they like primaries when they want to get rid of somebody they don't like. They don't like primaries when they're challenged on policy or philosophy like you're describing. But 3 key State Central Committee posts are facing a challenge now that's backed by Ronner and Durkin and Brady and the establishment because they need to replace those conservatives in order to protect Tim Schneider.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, I went to the last couple National Party conventions. Tim Schneider stands on the floor, and repeatedly his introduction was the greatest governor in the United States, Bruce Rauner, and that's the way he introduces him. That's his buddy. It's all he is interested in promoting is Bruce Rauner. It's nothing for the rest of us. The crumbs, are not making our way. Like I said, this guy's his Cook County Commissioner district borders my county in several places. We've never seen him at a single event. No energy, doesn't reflect our party. And, they used to talk about the Rockefeller Republicans that essentially, big money insiders and what have you. And those guys were thrown out all over the country. You look at what the demographics of the Republican Party is now. And that's why, like I said, the even in Illinois, Cruz and Trump accounted for 70% of the Republican primary vote in this state. So we're not some liberal party that they want us to be.
So who would you like to see as the Illinois Republican Party chairperson?
So I don't think it should be an elected either, because, that's the problem is that, Tim Schneider's running for office, and then he's got to be, friends with the newspaper editors and what have you, and he's afraid to get dirty, so he wouldn't be a good choice. I mean, we have a great party chairman in Lake County, Mark Shaw. I don't know if he's interested. But it should be somebody that has core values, that reflect those of Republicans. I was a Democrat, Amy. I left the Democratic Party in 2008. Mm-hmm. Since then, my county has gone overwhelmingly Democrat. I mean, it was trending that way to begin with, even before that. And we're in a lot of trouble as a party, and that's because we have no identity, we have no fighter, and we have, people that the base, I mean, they think that their time's better spent doing other things than politics right now, because these are the people that are leading it.
Well, especially when you have, if you don't agree with me on a primary candidate, you should be excommunicated from the party. I'm not sure how that builds the party. There was a letter sent out in the Kinzinger's district, Congressman Kinzinger's district, by a bunch of legislators, two state reps, Welter and David Welter, Jerry Long, two state senators, Chuck Weaver, Dave Severson, basically saying to the current state central committeeman there, since you supported Jeannie Ives in the primary, you should step down.
Yeah, so did 49.9% of the primary voters. Secondly, I mean, if she wasn't outspent 20-1, she's probably the nominee. So, I mean, that's how clueless, these people are. And, essentially what they don't realize is the people to the right of them, if you will, we're the street fighters. We don't live in $10 million homes. We're the people that, we have a purpose in our life, and come at us with what you want, but we're not going to back down.
What about the argument that Rauner bought the party, so he owns it, and he gets to pick his state party chairman, and that should just be assented to?
Well, I don't, I've seen stories that Governor Rauner is going to leave the state if he leaves he will leave the state if he loses the general election. I don't think
they're going to Italy.
He's in it for
yeah.
Right.
It's where a lot of former Illinois Republican governors retire.
Right. So, it's basically he's not in it for the long haul. I don't think anybody knew of Governor Rauner before he ran for governor. Certainly not. I've been going to the state party convention before that. We never saw him there. And the National Party convention, nobody ever heard of him.
He was going to the Democrat conventions, I think, at the time. That was before his metamorphosis. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the money. I mean, if we had people with some energy that could, put out a good message, I think we could raise money, but that's not the case, So the Dick Uihleins, I mean, I'd take their money over the money of people that believe in nothing any day.
Do you expect there's going to be a challenge to Schneider? County conventions are this Wednesday, and so depending on who wins those state central committeeman races, there will be a challenge to Schneider.
Absolutely, Dan. I know there's talk of it, and there has to be, or we're done. I mean, we're going to get killed in November. The Democrats are salivating at this moment in time, and I think it's got to change. There's no energy, and we've got to get back to, why should the grassroots want to work for this party?
Great question. Not sure I know the answer at this juncture. Mark Curran, Lake County Sheriff, Republican Party activist. Mark, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care, y'all.
Thanks. And he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
And he didn't even arrest us this time like he did when we broadcast up there.
That was so fun.
Wasn't that nice?
It was a very nice visit.
We'll talk to our friend at 737, Peter Roskam, about the Paul Ryan retirement, what comes next, what's next for Peter Roskam in his reelection, which has been labeled a toss-up at this point. 737.
And today's the day, the Boston Marathon, and 5 competitors are transgender, including one from Chicago. But first, let's go into the news. Here is Mike Scott.
25 and light snow showers. 7 inmates are dead after a violent outbreak at a prison in South Carolina. State's Department of Corrections says the violence at the Lee County Correctional Institute went on for 8 hours. There have been 20 injured. Fired former FBI Director James Comey says he believes President Trump is like a mafia boss who values personal loyalty over anything else.
And I'm not trying to, by the way, suggest that President Trump is out breaking legs and shaking down shopkeepers. But instead what I'm talking about is that leadership culture constantly comes back to me when I think about my experience with the Trump administration.
Comey on ABC's 2020. Russian President Vladimir Putin is warning airstrikes on Syria and the U.S. led on Friday could lead to global chaos and called them illegitimate. U.S. Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa believes the president should now consult Congress before any further action is taken in Syria.
Well, I am uncomfortable going forward if he wishes to commit ground troops in the area.
The Iowa Republican did say it was important that the U.S. led attacks that damaged the infrastructure of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad that he used to deliver chemical weapons. Actor Lee Ermey, better known as Gunny, is dead. The 74-year-old actor's manager announcing that Ermey died from complications of pneumonia at a hospital in Santa Monica, California yesterday. Ermey is best known for his portrayal of Gunnery Sergeant Hartman in the 1987 movie Full Metal Jacket. Chicago gets a steady dose of winter today. It started with snow yesterday, and flooding occurred by midday around Wrigley Field. Roads are slick this morning. Light to moderate snow across the area. A winter weather advisory as you head to the Wisconsin border. No one hurt after a house caught fire over the weekend in Oswego, but the house in the 100 block of Stonegate Drive is a total loss. One man is dead after a Metro train crashes into a vehicle on Chicago's far south side. And you heard James Comey earlier on in this newscast. Comey will be making a stop in Chicago this week. Former FBI director, part of the speaking tour at the Harris Theater Friday night during the Chicago Humanities Festival. Cubs and Braves wiped out because of winter weather on Sunday. Sox and Twins also snowed out for the third straight game. The news is a service of Staples. Staples can help your business stand out with custom printed signs, banners, and brochures. Now at Staples, spend $50 or more on print and marketing services and get $5 off your next in-store purchase. Standout materials equals outstanding results. Offer in-store only ends 6/23. Exclusions apply at Staples. 7:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
I am a Trump supporter.
The Joe Walsh Show.
Now, I am a Trump supporter who will freely criticize the president when I think he's done wrong. And done wrong can be sending out a stupid tweet, raising taxes, or supporting amnesty. Can be anything. It's the issues to me. And when President Trump does something that does not advance those issues, I'll call him out on it.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity for Upstream-Ideas.com. Game show idea. Comey, Corey, or Christian. I'm going to read a series of passages, and you tell me which was said or written by former FBI Director Jim Comey, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, or 50 Shades of Grey protagonist Christian Grey. Let's begin. I want you to know that nothing has happened in the last year to change my view. Boy, those were the words I needed to hear. I know. And the East Coast loves you, and by the East Coast, I mean me. Do you think gay sex is a perversion? We lie there, panting together, waiting for our breathing to slow. He gently strokes my hair. Boy, I survived. That wasn't so bad. He was not going to get a hug without being a whole lot stronger than he looked. He wasn't. He holds out his hand, and in his palm are 2 shiny silver balls linked with a thick black thread. As he extended his hand, I made a mental note to check its size. It was smaller than mine, but did not seem unusually so. Look out, E.L. James. Jim Comey and Cory Booker are coming for you.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-500-5588. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-500-5588 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-500-5588 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-500-5588.
7:37, a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. Northbound Veterans Memorial Tollway, it's jammed. I-55 to Roosevelt, Army Trail to 290. Northbound 53 has delays. Dundee to Lake Cook. Crash on Lake Cook east of 53. Southbound 53, slow Northwest Highway to Kirchhoff. Edens is 28 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, up on 29. Kennedy, an hour and 4 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, up on an hour. Eisenhower, an hour and 4 minutes. 390 to the Circle, up on an hour and 9 minutes. Crash at York just cleared. Stevenson, an hour and 8 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, up on 52 minutes. Ryan, 35 minutes. 95th to downtown. Tollways are heavy. Traffic service of Staples. Staples can help your business stand out with custom printed signs, banners, and brochures. Now at Staples, spend $50 or more on print and marketing services and get $5 off your next in-store purchase. Standout materials equals outstanding results. Offer in-store only. N623 exclusions apply. Staples. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. A couple of morning flurries. Otherwise cloudy, windy, and very cold. High 38. Currently 25 degrees. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Financial Planning with Jack Taboda, your 401k specialist. Heard Saturday mornings at 7 right here on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So on Friday night, General Dunford, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and Secretary of Defense Mattis explained the policy and legal framework for the strikes in Syria. Mattis doing that part. Dunford explaining the military outcomes. Here's Mattis on the frameworks.
As our Commander-in-Chief, the President has the authority under Article 2 of the Constitution to use military force overseas to defend important United States national interests. The United States has vital national interests in averting a worsening catastrophe in Syria and specifically deterring the use and proliferation of chemical weapons. Earlier today, President Trump directed the U.S. military to conduct operations in consonance with our allies to destroy the Syrian regime's chemical weapons research, development, and production capability. Tonight, France, the United Kingdom, and the United States took decisive action to strike the Syrian chemical weapons infrastructure. Clearly, the Assad regime did not get the message last year. This time, our allies and we have struck harder. Together, we have sent a clear message to Assad and his murderous lieutenants that they should not perpetrate another chemical weapons attack for which they will be held accountable. The 70 nations in the Defeat ISIS coalition remain committed to defeating ISIS in Syria. The strike tonight separately demonstrates international resolve to prevent chemical weapons from being used on anyone under any circumstance in contravention of international law.
So I guess if sending a message and defending Obama's red line was the limit of the mission, then President Trump was right to say mission accomplished. That's not my sense of it, though. And I think using that phrase in particular is problematic. But by the way, bombings on the rebel strongholds and including civilian populations by the Assad regime resumed on Sunday.
Right.
Less than 48 hours later. So what exactly are we accomplishing? And should
And why don't we target any Russian or Iranian assets?
And should the president have sought congressional authorization before green lighting the strike? For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Peter Roskam. Of course, he is our Republican representative from the 6th Congressional District in the Western Burbs. Peter, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan and Amy, good to be with you guys this morning.
So what about the president's decision and the strike on Syria?
Well, I think it was a good move insofar as it was decisive. It was clear. There was no ambiguity about it. He signaled to the Russians what was going to be happening, so no excuse for their surprise. And I think it was very important that the allies, particularly the UK and France, be involved in it. So it was a good move. Is it decisive? Is it done? Of course not. There's a huge opportunity as it relates to the Iran question right now, because the Iranians have been clearly funding the Assad regime, and now we're in this discussion about the Iran deal in particular, and the Europeans are, of course, wringing their hands about it. Now is an opportunity for the Trump administration to reach out to the European capitals and say, look, we've got to isolate even if you don't like the JCPOA changes that we're proposing, now is the time to isolate the Iranian regime because they're complicit in the chemical warfare attacks and get off the dime. So I think there's an opportunity here that goes beyond simply the missile strikes.
Well, President Trump is going to be spending the week in Mar-a-Lago. He's going to be meeting with the Japanese Prime Minister later this week. But do you think he will try and reach out and have that conversation, or will that be left up to the State Department?
I think it's going to be left up to the diplomats, but that's not a bad thing in particular. At this point, I don't think it's really risen to the presidential level. On this whole question about the May 12th date, on the pulling the plug on the flawed Iranian deal, there's only two things I think that are gonna change that. One is if Congress puts something on his desk that would change it, and I don't think that's likely. And the second thing is if the Europeans come with a signed deal, with a real proposal. And I think the Europeans are they're kind of all over the place on this. They would much rather that we do nothing vis-a-vis Iran, and I think that we can really take advantage and drive this and point out to the Europeans the entity that you want to do business with, that is the mullahs in Iran, are complicit in this in the chemical weapons attack. You don't get to be scandalized by the chemical weapons attack and continue to do business with their suitors.
Yeah, but I don't understand what the end game is here, even with trying to leverage Iran on that unholy nuclear deal that the Obama administration cut with the mullahs. So we're going to say what? We're going to continue pounding sites in Syria if you don't come to the table and renegotiate the terms of the nuclear deal so that we can convince the Europeans? Or are we going to concede that and go after regime change in Syria? Or are we just going to continue this kind of 7 years of muddled policy that's resulted in 500,000 deaths and 10 million displacements while also enabling both Iranian hegemony in the region as well as Russian involvement? I mean, this. I don't get any of this.
Right. I understand what you're asking. So in my view, these are operating on parallel tracks, but there's an opportunity. The parallel tracks are, the one is the muddled approach that you just described that's been a disaster basically in Syria and has, just resulted in heartache. So there's not a lot of good choices here. And to sit back and let the chemical weapons attack happen with impunity, we can't do that, clearly. But we've got a limitation in what we're able to do. Okay, I will stipulate that. My point is that look at the opportunity here vis-a-vis the Iranian threat. The Iranian threat is a super aggressive threat, obviously, in the Middle East. The Iranians are nearly maniacal in how they're approaching this. In light of that, we've got an opportunity to decouple their support from the Europeans. And I say take advantage of that. Press hard on it.
Okay.
All right, switching gears. Got to ask you a domestic policy question before we get to the Republican leadership question with Ryan's announcement. And that is the that $1.3 trillion omnibus spending bill, including such highlights as funding for Planned Parenthood. You voted for that. Why?
So the Planned Parenthood question has all of the Hyde protection. So there's nothing new here. So it's the fungible question. I get it.
But but I mean, just a point of order. Ryan's commitment was to defund Planned Parenthood. Paul Ryan's commitment.
Yeah, I mean, so was Trump's.
Yes,
so was
right.
Pence's. I mean,
right.
You asked why I voted for it. I voted for it because it's got the Hyde protections in it, which has been the traditional pro-life view. The other reason I voted for it was the military is in desperate need of support. It has been hollowed out. You know these stories better than I do. And the idea of not funding the military was completely unacceptable to me. So we're in it's a mixed bag. The United States Senate is unwilling to walk away from the Senate filibuster rule, which means Senate Democrats are at the table, which means you've got to negotiate with them.
I wanted to ask you about President Trump. Did you watch the interview last night between George Stephanopoulos and James Comey?
I missed it. What did I miss?
Nothing.
A bunch of girls talking to each other. But one thing that, when it comes to the importance of this Russian investigation, he said that he may have obstructed justice, and also too by asking him to drop the Flynn investigation. Do you where do you see this Russian investigation going, especially now that a former FBI director spoke about it on national television?
Yeah, I think this is one of these things that people are looking at, desperately trying to come up with something. The goalposts are continuing to move. And now this is an investigation that has gone far and wide. I think the Mueller investigation should wind up whenever it's appropriate to wind up. Bring charges if there's charges to bring. If not, close the books and turn the page.
Concurrent to this, over the weekend, you had the release of the Inspector General's FBI Inspector General's report that details painstakingly how Andy McCabe, the deputy director, Comey's chief lieutenant, lied and used his position to advance his and his wife's personal political and reputational interests at the expense of the FBI's law enforcement interests. And it seems to me this is a story that needs to really be amplified by congressional Republicans.
Yeah, I think there's a larger story here, too, and it's this parallel track. The three of us over the years have talked a lot about the IRS, and the IRS used to have this reputation of being tough but fair and so forth, and the shine is completely off of that penny. And the tragedy in this whole thing is now the self-inflicted reputational damage that has resulted by the FBI being so political on some of these questions. And it is corrosive, ultimately, because if people lose confidence in the integrity of law enforcement and rule of law, that doesn't end well for any of us.
I got to ask you a political question, too. Your race, I've seen rated by some of the prognosticators, such as they are, rated a toss-up, which is not a usual position for the 6th Congressional District in Illinois. And you understand what the landscape is and how depressed conservatives are in particularly as the Rauner/Donner party continues to their attempted purge of conservatives from the Republican Party. What's your path to victory if you don't get base turnout in the suburbs?
It's the same path as I had in 2006. I've seen this before. As you recall, my first opponent was Tammy Duckworth. It was a very tough year for the GOP. George W. Bush was very unpopular. The war was very unpopular. And I was running against someone with a very compelling personal story based on her sacrifice and so forth. So my view is don't underestimate the environment. I think I represent a constituency that wants to get things done, not just, argue in Congress, and they want someone who's effective and reflects their views. And I've done that, and I will be looking forward to the rest of the campaign.
Well, that's true. And in 2006, you had an unpopular Bush. You also had Judy Bar Topinka manage all of 39% of the vote against Rod Blagojevich under federal investigation at the time. So I guess if you can win in that environment, you can win in this one. He is Peter Roskam. He is Congressman for the 6th Congressional in the Western Burbs. Peter, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
On AM 560, The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Opportunity Project, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
Homeowners often say their basement only leaks when it rains. Well, you don't worry about your living room getting wet, do you? Then why do you want to worry about your basement? Permaseal believes that your basement should be dry all the time, no matter how hard it rains. That's right. You can have a permanently dry basement. So give Permaseal a call at 800-421-SEAL. They offer a free estimate and transferable warranties, so you can rest assured you're getting the best value. Back in 1979, Roy Spencer started Permaseal, and it's still a local Chicagoland business whose purpose is to make the world a better place, one basement or crawl space at a time. Your basement is already dry some of the time, but if you want your basement dry all of the time, you know who to call. Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-7375, or go to permaseal.net.
Shoot Point Blank is Chicago's leading shooting range and firearms store. Featuring 20 climate-controlled shooting lanes, complete retail store, and firearm education classes for all experience levels. Whether you're a new or expert shooter, now you can experience the Shoot Point Blank difference and see for yourself why so many people are talking about Shoot Point Blank.
I can tell you, I was impressed as soon as I walked through the door. The employees were really helpful, very patient, and knowledgeable, too.
My wife and I had a wonderful experience. We felt very comfortable and informed.
Brett was very friendly and respectful, and he answered all my questions. Because I'm new to pistols, I'm grateful he was patient and helped me decide what to buy for my new firearm.
For a huge selection of new and used firearms, ammo, and state-of-the-art indoor shooting range, visit them in Hodgkins, Mokina, Naperville, or Merrillville. Or check out shootpointblank.com. Experience the difference. Shoot Point Blank.
Spearphishing has or will strike your business, wreaking havoc on your employees, brand, and your bottom line. Spearphishing can't be stopped by traditional email security solutions because messages appear to be legitimate from your boss, a trusted colleague, or a vendor asking you to wire money, confirm login credentials, or worse. Barracuda Sentinel is artificial intelligence for real-time spearphishing and cyber fraud defense. Reclaim your email in minutes with zero impact on network performance. Visit barracuda.com/AI.
It's not easy being a mom, but my Chrysler Pacifica makes soccer practice a little more fun. I can binge all my shows with the available Uconnect Theater, open the Stow and Go seating to grab my hidden romance novel, or just jam out to the radio.
Hey, Mom, what was that song?
Huh? What song? I didn't hear a song.
Chrysler Pacifica. It's loaded with attitude. Chrysler is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
It's helped me tremendously, the product. You know, I cut down on colds. I have more energy. It really helped me with allergies. I mean, I know that they're there when they're ready to kick in, but they don't kick in. And I don't really have as much sugar cravings as I used to have. So it's definitely been really good that I went on this.
I have seen a tremendous change in my skin. My skin looks really, really good, and I love it. I had eczema like on my arm and my elbows and all on my feet. I mean, I was so embarrassed. And now I don't fear anything. I wear my arms out. You know, everything is cleared up so nicely, and I love it. I love it.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first month's order and ship it to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Quality doors and windows are one of the smartest investments you can make. They improve your home's appearance and save you money on energy bills year-round. Say goodbye to high-pressure sales tactics and enjoy the best window and door experience with Next Door and Window. Call now and schedule your free quote, 630-590-1370, or go online to nextdoorandwindow.com. Next Door and Window has wood-clad, vinyl, and fiberglass windows and doors. Their staff will help you find exactly what you want. Right now, get 10% off windows and doors with no money down and no payments for 1 year. Call 630-590-1370 or go to nextdoorandwindow.com to schedule your free quote. Choose from 3 showrooms in Chicagoland, Arlington Heights, Burr Ridge, and Naperville. Call 630-590-1370 or go to nextdoorandwindow.com to schedule your free quote and for finance qualifications.
Next Door and Window, thousands of options, one perfect fit.
Federal, state, and excise tax matters are serious and need to be addressed, not ignored. You don't need scare tactics to know procrastination can lead to severe consequences. You need a tax solution partner who will provide an honest assessment of your unique situation and help implement a strategy that fits your personal situation. You need Tax Relief Inc. They've helped hundreds of satisfied customers like Paul.
You met with us and explained in detail what the process would be like in dealing with the IRS. Everything happened just as you said. Because of all the work and time that you put into representing us, our tax debt was reduced by 80%. We highly recommend and encourage anyone who has to deal with the Internal Revenue Service to go to Tax Relief Inc. Thank you for everything you did to assist in resolving our problem.
Ready for your tax relief? Call owner Joseph Shadle. No salesperson, no middlemen. Just an honest, local, and dependable tax relief partner. Call now, 630-655-1040. Or go to taxreliefinc.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
The haiku challenge is really picking up. This offering, Amy, from Dan Proff's Beard is the Twitter handle.
Oh, okay. Dan Proff's Beard?
Yeah, my beard.
That's awesome. It's like Archie Bunker's chair.
Exactly. Amby Davis's bowling ball.
Yeah.
All right, here. Now, again, count, because there's some dispute on my Twitter feed about some of the entries qualifying per the 575 beat.
Okay.
Morality conflicts in me. His orange face beckons the dark side. Tiny hands break my manhood. Wow. I mean, we have a very artistic listening audience. I'm impressed.
Smart,
I'm impressed.
Listeners.
Yeah, I'll have to offer my own to see if I can beat
any of
the listeners. Yeah.
Good luck.
And we'll look forward to your poetic offering too.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be a haiku, but this is technically a haiku challenge in honor of Jim Comey's Emotional Moments with Clinton Foundation Donor Zero, which we'll pick up at 8:08.
But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Breaking news developing in South Carolina this morning. Fox will have the very latest on a prison brawl where 7 are dead and up to 20 are injured. James Comey will be speaking in Chicago Friday night after his interview on ABC over the weekend. Authorities ID a body found in the Des Plaines River in Joliet. White Sox and Twins snowed out for the 3rd straight day. Cubs and Braves postponed as well. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
He lashes out at President Trump and the White House fires back. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
James Comey is a disgraced, disgruntled, discredited individual fired from the FBI for lying and leaking.
Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley the morning after Comey was on ABC.
I don't think he's medically unfit to be president. I think he's morally unfit to be president.
Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
James Comey told ABC News' George Stephanopoulos that Donald Trump doesn't tell the truth and might have obstructed justice. He also questioned whether the president may be compromised by the Russians.
I think it's possible. I don't know. These are more words I never thought I'd utter about a president of the United States, but it's possible.
The president tweeting this morning, Comey drafted the crooked Hillary exoneration long before he talked to her, lied in Congress to Senator Grassley, then based his decisions on her poll numbers. Disgruntled, he, McCabe, and the others committed many crimes. Dave?
John, the president also just tweeted an accusation that Russia and China are devaluing their currencies as the U.S. raises interest rates, calling it unacceptable. The U.S. is getting new sanctions ready for Russia for supporting the Syrian regime. This after the weekend airstrikes in response to the reported deadly chemical attack. It was an ugly and deadly night at a prison in South Carolina. Fox's Evan Brown has details live.
Now, Dave, at least 7 inmates at the Lee Correctional Institution outside Columbia are dead. Another 17 are injured and needed medical attention following what is now being called a prison riot. The altercation began just after 7 last night, and corrections officers say it was contained by about 3 this morning. Lee Correctional is infamous for housing very violent offenders. 1 inmate was killed in an altercation last February, Dave.
Evan, former First Lady Barbara Bush is sick and no longer wants medical treatment, so the 92-year-old is home receiving comfort care instead. She's had a series of recent hospitalizations. This is Fox News. Fair and balanced.
27 degrees in Chicago. It is 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago gets a steady dose of winter on this early spring day. Snow started yesterday morning. The rain and ice began on Saturday and led to flooding around Wrigley Field, a tree crashing into his 2-story home in Zion. Roads are slick this morning. Light to moderate snow expected to continue with heavier amounts near the Wisconsin border, where there is a winter weather advisory up for this morning. An arrest has been made connected with the tainted synthetic marijuana that has sickened 128 and killed 3 in Illinois. Lonnie Smith of Pekin was arrested over the weekend, charged with drug-induced homicide. 1 man is dead after a Metra train hit a vehicle on Chicago's far south side. Metra says the incident happened yesterday between 119th and 115th in the city's Morgan Park neighborhood. Authorities have identified the man found dead last week in the Des Plaines River in Joliet. Will County sheriffs say Sean Joy's body was discovered floating in the river Friday by the Ruby Street Bridge. The Lockport man had been missing for about 3 weeks. His body was found by crews conducting a water search after a human leg was discovered in the Lockport locks Wednesday night. Chicago sports, Cubs and Braves postponed Sunday. That game will be made up May 14. Sox and Twins snowed out for the 3rd straight game. A makeup date has not yet been announced. The news is a service of Staples. Staples has low prices on a huge selection of ink, paper, and the latest printers. Now at Staples, get 50% off the HP OfficeJet Pro 6900 series this week only at Staples, your total printing solution. While supplies last, valid on SKU 2256781 and ends 421. 8:04 time for the AM 560 Business Beat. From the Fox Business Network, a service of Turnkey.pro, here is Jenny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, Bank of America is reporting a record quarter. Its business was better than expected. The Charlotte-based banking giant was helped by the new tax law and rising interest rates. Trucking company J.B. Hunt Transport also is reporting an upbeat quarter. It was carrying more and was able to charge more per load. Now you'll be able to order a Domino's pizza and have it delivered if you're at a park, a beach, or somewhere else without a traditional address. Reuters says Domino's is adding 150,000 delivery hotspots. Domino's has established set drop-off points you can find on your smartphone. Domino's isn't just competing with other pizza deliveries. Now it's also dealing with Grubhub, Uber Eats, and DoorDash. The Dow dropped 122 on Friday. NASDAQ was down 33. S&P lost 7. Futures are higher this morning. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Jenny Cosola.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dan Proft here, and I'm here with my guy, Ryan Kelly, at thehomeloanexpert.com. If you're like most folks, this time of year, the credit card debt really starts to add up. Ryan was telling me about a loan that can help you get rid of the credit card debt.
Absolutely. It's a cash-out refinance, and it's one of the favorite loans that we do here at thehomeloanexpert.com. It's just as easy as a normal refinance. We'll get you the lower rate, drop the payment and all that, but we'll also get you the cash you need to pay off the credit card. Stop making those greedy credit card companies rich. month after month. You make the payments, the balances don't come down. Maybe you get really good and you pay them down, but it seems like something pops up and they're right back up. It almost makes you scared to go to the mailbox. If you're a homeowner, know this. Home values all around Chicagoland are skyrocketing. You have a lot of equity. Your home is worth a lot more than it was just a year ago. Let's do a refinance, get the cash out, and pay off all those credit cards once and for all. I'm Ryan Kelly. I truly am the home loan expert. Apply for your cash out refinance today at thehomeloanexpert.com. The Home Loan Expert LLC.
The following is a paid political announcement.
It's still hard to tell the difference between Congressman Todd Rokita and Congressman Luke Messer. Rokita and Messer are two career politicians, and for nearly 30 years, they've lived on the taxpayer dole. 30 years. They're both lawyers who never practiced, and their records in Congress are the same too. In Washington, Todd Rokita and Luke Messer voted to fast-track Obama's bad trade deals, to add $500 billion to our debt, and even to fund liberal priorities like Obama's executive amnesty, not to mention funding for abortion provider Planned Parenthood. In fact, Todd Rokita and Luke Messer have voted the exact same way in Congress 95% of the time. It's true. This election, remember, Todd Rokita and Luke Messer are the same. They're two career politicians, and they're wrong for Indiana.
I'm Mike Braun, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Mike Braun for Indiana.
Hi, I'm Darla from Cintas.
Oh, thank goodness you're here. We have so much to do. I need fire extinguishers, right?
We'll place them for you and be out for regular inspection.
Great. And what about my new hires?
We'll get them into uniforms and keep them looking sharp.
What about this first aid cabinet?
Fully stocked.
It wasn't this morning.
It is now. And so are the restrooms.
Wow, Cintas really seems to know what we need.
You said it.
Oh, I'm ready!
Learn how Cintas can help you get ready for the workday. Visit Cintas.com.
When you're hiring, you don't want to sort through dozens of irrelevant resumes. You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions based on your job requirements. Then zero in on qualified candidates using our intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed.
8:08. Let's get an update on that right around town in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. The latest numbers with Jim Talamonte.
Mike, it's icy in Elk Grove Village. Northbound bus is closed. Howard, where it meets Oakton and Higgins due to the icy conditions and a crash. Kennedy is now an hour and 10 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 39 minutes from Montrose, 32 in the Express. Outbound 56 minutes to the airport. Hayden's 22 minutes. Lake Cook Junction outbound 32. Eisenhower an hour 390 to downtown and 40 minutes from Manheim. Outbound an hour and 9 minutes 390. Stevenson an hour and 8 minutes 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 52 minutes. Ryan is 38 minutes 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound slow from the Lake Forest Oasis to 22 and from Toohey to the O'Hare Oasis. Northbound 95th to 31st and Roosevelt up to the Adams Tollway. It's about Adams Tollway heavy from Beecham to 53 for the Des Plaines Oasis to Kennedy. The other tollways are heavy as well. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Mostly cloudy and breezy with a shower or thunderstorm around. Cool day with a high 55. Breezy tonight, gusts around 35 miles per hour with occasional rain and a thunderstorm, low 40. Still very windy tomorrow, gusts up to 40 miles per hour with rain and drizzle, high 42. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
25 light snow showers officially at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. This Comey Haiku Challenge we've launched is really taking off. This is fun. A very poetic listening audience. I got the idea when Comey was emotionally discussing the final days of the campaign and how alone he felt. I thought a haiku was forthcoming, and so I put out a haiku challenge, and we've had a lot of responses. We've got another one, Kevin Rooney. Now again, Amy, you're the official scorer here.
Oh, okay.
Make sure it's 575 beat. Couldn't hide obscured in drapes. Took final ride drinking from paper cup. Wine stomped from sour grapes. Ooh, it's a little abstract. Haiku, we got a text too, haiku, 219. Giant lying goon, use the FBI for Pauls, do not believe him. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that fits. Text from 630 regarding the haiku challenge. Would you accept an E.E. Cummings freeform riff? I will accept an unpunctuated E.E. Cummings free verse. I'll also accept, as I did, because this is more Amy's bailiwick, sonnets, but the quatrains have to be A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I mean, the entries have to, meet the poetic qualifications.
Pretty staunch requirements there.
Well, I'm just saying. Gearhart, you're from Southern Cal. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan, Amy, good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I got a stupid question for you. Why is Stephanopoulos and Comey practically whispering to each other during the interview?
Because it's a romantic setting. I mean,
well, that's one. That could be. Thanks for the call,
So
Gerhard.
it's just very soothing voices. They use their inside voices. That's for sure.
I thought it was because Comey is a prisoner in his own home. Remember, the rest of his family are peahats.
Yeah,
and
but he did disclose that he felt bad. He actually thought Hillary Clinton was going to win the election. So when he put out 11 days before the election that they're reinvestigating, they're opening up her email investigation again because they found classified information on Anthony Weiner's personal computer. He was so shocked.
Hillary Clinton's convinced that letter defeated her.
No
what
kidding.
Do you say to her?
I hope not. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
He doesn't know
his
anything.
Stomach was in knots, and
he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know about the dossier too. Why didn't you tell Trump the dossier was financed by your political opponents?
Did you tell him that the Steele dossier had been financed by his political opponents?
No. I don't even think I used the term Steele dossier. I just talked about additional material.
But did he have a right to know that?
That had been financed by his political opponents? I don't know the answer to that. It wasn't necessary for my goal, which was to alert him. We had this information.
How graphic did you get?
I think as graphic as I needed to be.
Yeah, why? So
prostitutes peeing on each other.
Yeah, that's not the issue. The issue is, I told him about this information, but I didn't tell him it was financed by his political opponents. Why didn't you tell him that? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Why didn't you tell him that? That's
pertinent information. He needs to know that
because it would essentially generate a response as to the seriousness of the information you have. Oh, this is political propaganda or the effort to unearth damaging political information by my political opponents. And the FBI is tracking in this. Why? Maybe because the FBI was involved with Christopher Steele as well, and Jim Comey didn't want to go down that rabbit hole with the president. Have to answer other questions if he opened the door to the answer to that question,
and
or offering up this information. That's a big problem. And I don't know. Jim Comey is so very thoughtful and reflective among so much of his career, particularly his late career, that led to this memoir. And all the time he's had to think about all of these issues in writing his memoir. But he doesn't have answers. He hasn't even thought of. He hasn't come to any conclusions about important questions like that one. It's because he's a liar.
Yeah, well, that's when he's playing dumb blonde, like, I don't know, or flighty man. But he did say, too, President Trump obviously said that didn't happen, that, with what he's saying was on that P tape. But he wasn't sure.
Did you believe his denial?
Honestly, never thought these words would come out of my mouth, but I don't know whether the current president of the United States was with prostitutes peeing on each other in Moscow in 2013. It's possible, but I don't know.
Everything's possible. Well, boy, you didn't have any time to get to the bottom of it, huh?
I mean, is there an actual tape? He wouldn't even answer that. It's so weird.
Here's a serious question, because this is one of the headlines coming from this interview, as if this is it's just because it's sensational, right? It's not because this is Jim Comey's core competency to the extent he has one. He's not an ethicist. He's not a philosopher king. But that's what he was in this interview. He's a former top law enforcement official in the country. He can't comment on legality or illegality, which is essentially his core competency as a prosecutor and FBI director. But he can comment on morality, his higher loyalty nonsense. And he said this about the president.
A person who sees moral equivalence in Charlottesville, who talks about and treats women like they're pieces of meat, who lies constantly about matters big and small and insists the American people believe it, that person's not fit to be president of the United States on moral grounds.
Morally unfit for the office. Let me ask you a serious question. Is it possible anymore in this country to be morally unfit for public office? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Is there anyone you think is truly morally unfit for public office based on the current standards in force, including President Trump? I mean, it could be an interesting topic of discussion, not with the Hall of Faces, Jim Comey, but generally speaking, you want to talk morally fit for office? Fine, let's talk about morally fit, not just for public office, but for high public appointments, like, say, FBI director or deputy director.
What about Governor Rauner? Is he morally fit for office?
Does this even enter in? It's so interesting. Morality is shunted aside during elections, and then after the fact, when perhaps your opponent wins, all of a sudden values and morality are back in vogue, and we retroactively try to apply some moral standards to public office. I mean, there's a movie out right now about a guy who was elected for 40 years after he killed a woman. His name was Ted Kennedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I told you I didn't want to know how that movie ended.
Yeah, sorry for the spoiler alert. Sorry for not giving you a spoiler alert.
Yes, thank you.
But seriously, morally fit for office, that's a discussion Jim Comey wants to have.
And then Jim Comey should have shut his mouth. He shouldn't even written this book because there is an ongoing investigation. You used to be the head of the FBI, the director.
Was President Trump obstructing justice?
Possibly. I mean, it's certainly some evidence of obstruction of justice.
What will it mean if President Trump tries to fire Robert Mueller?
It would, I hope, set off alarm bells that this is his most serious attack yet on the rule of law.
So here's Comey, the fork-tongued Comey again. He possibly obstructed justice. Should President Trump be impeached? No. Well, wait a second. If he broke the law or possibly broke the law, then wouldn't you say if it's determined that he broke the law, then he should be impeached? If it's determined that he obstructed justice, that his conduct rose to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors, then he should be impeached. Because he obviously doesn't know, like he doesn't know anything that's pertinent,
well, I know,
or anything that he wants to disclose. So which is it? Which is it? He possibly obstructed justice, and so we should keep the door to impeachment open, or he shouldn't be impeached because that's the voters' job to de-elect him in 2020, which is the actual answer Comey gave.
I hope not. Because I think impeaching and removing Donald Trump from office would let the American people off the hook. People in this country need to stand up and go to the voting booth and vote their values. And so impeachment, in a way, would short-circuit that.
They did go to the polling booths and vote their values in 2016.
This guy is such a politician. He wants to have it every single way. By the way, another question not asked of him that was brought up on our show on Friday when we talked to Tony Schaefer. Hey, 71% of the counterterrorism budget at FBI was diverted to the Clinton and Trump investigations. Do you think that's the highest, best use of scarce FBI resources in the interest of keeping our country safe in these dangerous times with the various threats that Americans face domestically and from abroad? That question wasn't asked, but I'm sure Whoopi will ask it this week.
Yeah, Wednesday, The View.
Beth in Lake Zurich, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes, I was just listening to the interview.
Oh, Beth.
What happened to Beth?
Beth?
Beth, you cut out there for a second.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that. I was just listening to that portion of the interview with George Stephanopoulos and James Comey. And the one thing that I can't get over is that James Comey admitted on the radio or on TV that he withheld certain facts, material facts from the President of the United States. And we always tell our kids that lying by omission is still lying, and then turned around and criticized the president for lying. I don't understand.
Yes, Beth, that's a very good point, but you have to understand that Jim Comey is beyond reproach.
It's a higher calling.
Exactly.
I mean, seriously?
One of my favorite moments, and there were many hilarious moments.
Was it the oh no face?
Well, that was one, but the other one was, do you ever, do you think your own sense of your virtue ever got in the way? His book is entitled A Higher Calling, George. There's your answer. Tom in Deer Park.
Yeah, I think it was H.L. Mencken paraphrased him that in a democracy, the voters will get what they deserve, and they'll get it good and hard. Something to that effect. I'm driving, but
yes,
that's what we're getting. We brought it upon ourselves, not so much at Comey that he's not elected, but the Republican primary voters and the Democratic primary voters. This is what they give us, and this reflects who we are.
Thanks for the call, Tom.
I do recall somebody else saying that too, Dan Proft.
Well, you're going to get it if you continue that attitude, and you're going to get it good and hard. That was actual audio, H.L. Mencken.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Comey's not going to go away. I mean, tonight's Stephen Colbert, and then The View, and is he coming to Chicago for something, Dan? What's Comey?
The U.S. Mike Savage was part of the Humanities Festival. He's speaking at that.
Oh, great!
I'm sure the intrepid Chicago press corps will ask him those difficult questions.
For sure. Forecast for today: it's a winter wonderland out there. Still some morning flurries we have to plow through. But then by this afternoon, it's going to be very windy. 25 degrees right now. If you factor in the wind chill, it's even worse. A high today, if we're lucky, of 38. Tonight, a low of 26. And tomorrow, no rain, no snow, just partly sunny skies, chilly, a high in the low 40s. Let's get into the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Hey, me and Dan, traffic's awful. Northbound Veterans Memorial is jammed from I-55 all the way up to 290, and northbound 53 is a mess from Dundee to Lake Cook after a crash. Southbound delays from Rand to Kirchhoff, and there's a Reagan tollway. It's bumper to bumper all the way from Farnsworth to 355 and 22nd to the Eisenhower. Tri-State, slow northbound 95th to 31st and Roosevelt to the Adams Tollway. Southbound, pretty big jam. 2 week to the O'Hare Oasis. 8 and 22 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose. How about 35? Kennedy, an hour. O'Hare to downtown, a little quicker than the Express. Eisenhower, an hour and 2 minutes. 390 to the Circle. Stevenson, an hour and 20 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 38 minutes. 95th to downtown. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Americans' every tax bracket got a tax cut thanks to the tax bill signed into law last year, which means you've got more money to spend on what's important to you. Democrats in Congress who voted against the tax cuts are promising to raise your taxes if they win in November. They want your money back to spend on their priorities. Only you can stop them. To find out how much more money you'll be bringing home, go to taxcutswork.com. There's an easy-to-use calculator that tells you how much money the new tax cuts are saving you this year or next. Check your savings at taxcutswork.com and then sign a letter to Congress telling them to keep their hands off your tax cut savings. The Tax Cuts Work Tour is coming to the Fauna International at 1900 Averill Road in Geneva, Sunday, April 29th, 2 p.m. Meet small business owners, elected officials, and the folks from Job Creators Network to hear how the tax cuts are working and share your story, too. That's Fauna International in Geneva on Sunday, April 29th, 2 p.m. Learn more at taxcutswork.com.
Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. I guarantee you can have confidence when calling me at 312-896-2110 or going to townstone.com that our only interest is getting you the best refinance deal available and to make sure your home purchase closes on time and without headaches. Don't pay too much. Townstone will compete on closing costs and interest rates with anyone. So do yourself a favor and check with Townstone before you refinance or buy. If you are starting a new home purchase, Townstone is the only place to contact because we not only help borrowers with great credit, large large down payments to streamline their home purchase and close quickly, but we're also experts in helping borrowers with the so-called difficult loans. First-time home buyers, we have a program for you. Are you self-employed or a business owner? We have a special program for you too. Had a BK, short sale, or deed in lieu at least 12 months ago? We also have a new program to get you back into your dream house too. So call 312-896-2110 or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financials, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, Illinois, mortgage licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639, equal housing lender.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm Mark Gastineau. I played in the NFL for 10 years. I was diagnosed with CTE, with dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. The fruits and vegetables that we take from Balance of Nature is the best thing that we could ever do. And I'm calling in now to order extra because of my wife has been taking mine because she sees a difference in me. It is a wonderful thing that Balance of Nature is doing. I hear the testimonies on the radio, but I'm a testimony for myself. And the fruits and vegetables, if I don't take them every single day, my day is not going to go the same. So God bless you, and thank you for what you've done for my wife and I.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first month's order and ship it to you free. Call 800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
There's always that time of day when the sun creates havoc at the office.
This is ridiculous.
You're literally blinded by the light. Can't see a thing on your computer monitor and feel like you're baking in an oven. Make your office or storefront distraction-free with custom shades from 1-800-4BLINDS. You'll keep your customers comfortable, protect furnishings and decor from fading, and have happy, productive employees that don't have to stop in the middle of a project because of the glare. 1-800-4BLINDS can get the job done quickly with their local in-house installation crew. You'll save money on window treatments that not only look great, but will also help you shrink utility bills with special heat-reducing shades that can trap heat between the window and shade. They also offer custom painted solar shades with your logo or photo image printed directly on the shade. Get the sun out of your eyes. Call 1-800-4BLINDS direct for a consultation today. 773-447-5448 or visit 1-800-4BLINDSChicago.com. That's 1-800-4BLINDSChicago.com.
Having debt does put stress on a marriage, on your health.
It just starts mounting up, especially with the interest, it just goes up. So I could definitely see there was stress in Lindsay, and that would spill over into our relationship and how we related to each other.
Ben and Lindsay called nonprofit Christian credit counselors to stop the creditor calls, lowered their interest rate, and get one monthly payment they could afford.
Our situation's definitely improved, and it's such a difference to not borrow to get things and you actually save to get them. It's a liberating feeling.
At Christian Credit Counselors, your freedom from debt is their #1 priority. On average, their clients become debt-free up to 80% faster.
It's definitely freedom.
See how much Christian Credit Counselors can save you. Call a personal credit counselor for your free no-obligation debt analysis. Call 800-557-1985. Your journey to financial freedom begins now. Call 800-557-1985 or visit ChristianCreditCounselors.org. ChristianCreditCounselors.org. Call 800-557-1985.
AM 560. The Answer.
Dan and Amy, the submissions in our Comey Haiku contest continue to pour in. Dr. Y for Congress. Lordy, lordy me, at this point, what difference does it really make? All right.
Oh.
All right. We'll continue to offer those up. But we've got some breaking news. This seminal study, please turn down the music. I want people to hear this. This is super important. Are you ready?
Right.
Scientists, these are scientists now, have made a huge discovery.
Okay.
Writing in the Journal of Royal Society Open Science, they looked at 44 countries across Europe and Asia, examined geography, faith, systems of government, and cultural ancestry. And you're never going to believe what they found.
What did they find, Dan?
Are you ready? Are you listening?
I'm ready.
Communism
Yes.
makes countries poorer and less healthy. Are you stunned into silence?
Yes,
Communism makes countries poorer and less healthy. They could have accomplished the same thing had they read a 20th century history book, but that doesn't come along with funding, I presume. It turns out that the single strongest predictor for a country's health and second strongest predictor for its wealth turned out to be whether its rulers had embraced communism. What a stunning revelation. Now, it is worth noting, since half this country believes in socialism, which is just a slow walk version of communism, you may want to just take note about health as well as wealth.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
We talked to Trump whisperer Scott Adams, Dilbert cartoon creator, about why he thinks everyone should be fired. Everyone! At 8:38.
but first into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Light snowfall, 27 degrees. Winds are out of the northwest at the moment at 14. It gives us a wind chill of 12 above. 7 inmates are dead after a violent outbreak at a prison in South Carolina. Corrections officers say 17 have been hospitalized. Former FBI Director James Comey says President Trump, in his words, does not have the moral character for office.
A person who sees moral equivalence in Charlottesville, who talks about and treats women like they're pieces of meat, who lies constantly about matters big and small and insists the American people believe it, that person's not fit to be president of the United States on moral grounds.
Comey on ABC's 2020. British Prime Minister Theresa May going before lawmakers this morning to explain why she ordered airstrikes on Syria without Parliament's approval. The weekend strikes are part of a combined U.S., UK, French response to chemical weapons attacks blamed on the regime of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Former First Lady Barbara Bush will not be seeking additional medical treatment for her failing health. A Bush family spokesperson saying in a statement the 92-year-old wife of former President George H.W. Bush will instead focus on comfort care. Chicago getting a steady dose of winter on an early spring day. Right now there is a winter weather advisory up at the Wisconsin-Illinois border and northwest Indiana now. Roads very slick and accidents abound on I-65. An arrest has been made connected with the tainted synthetic marijuana that has sickened and killed many in the state. Lonnie Smith of Pekin was arrested over the weekend, charged with drug-induced homicide. The drug, tainted with rat poison, has been blamed for 126 illnesses and 3 deaths. Cubs and Braves were postponed on Sunday. The game will be made up on May 14. White Sox and Twins wiped out by snow for a third straight game. The news, a service of Staples. Staples has low prices on a huge selection of ink, paper, and the latest printers. Now at Staples, get 50% off on the HP OfficeJet Pro 6900 series this week only at Staples, your total printing solution. While supplies last, valid on SKU 2256781, ends 421. 8:33 is our time, and we'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher isn't going to get pushed around.
There's so much ugliness out there, and I admit, I kind of contributed to it yesterday. Now, you know me. Somebody calls me and acts like a jerk to me, like a few of you did yesterday. I'm not going to just roll over because I didn't like the way the tone went with some of our callers.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Get your truly free credit score and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma. Download the Credit Karma app today. Credit Karma. Get knowing.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Bob Aument, a founding partner of the law firm of Daspin & Aument and longtime personal customer of Signature Bank. Our firm recently left one of the larger banks to bank with Signature Bank, and it's been a refreshing change. With Signature Bank, we've been able to tailor banking solutions that fit the specific needs of our firm. Beyond that, Signature Bank is responsive, efficient, and timely in meeting those needs. If I have a request, I pick up the phone and talk to Mick O'Rourke, not someone at a phone bank thousands of miles away. Daspin & Aument needed more than what the larger banks offer, and we found that with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It is 8:35. Time for a check of our morning commute in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. 8094 westbound traffic is jammed. Bird to Kennedy with a crash in the 3 left lanes, then heavy from the state line to Torrance with a crash. We have delays on I-65 southbound 8094 to 61st Avenue. Crash in the right lane and northbound. Collision at Ridge Road. Edens is 22 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 35. Kennedy an hour. O'Hare to downtown 40 minutes from Montrose. 32 in the express. Outbound 54 minutes to the airport. Eisenhower an hour and 2 minutes. 390 to downtown. 42 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 57 to 390. Stevenson an hour and 20 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 54 minutes. Ryan 38 minutes. 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound bottled up 2 to the O'Hare Oasis. Northbound 95th to 31st. And Roosevelt to the Adams Tollway. The other tollways are heavy too. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte at AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Couple of morning flurries. Otherwise, we'll stay mostly cloudy throughout the day, windy and cold, and a high of 38. Currently 27. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Advanced Planning Advisors, bringing you Smart Money Talk with Mike Moylan and Rob Curvin, Saturday mornings at 6.
See Larry Elder at Cigar Night on Thursday, May 17th at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Tickets on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar.
What up, Dan and Amy? And Trump attorney Michael Cohen is in court today after the FBI raid in his home, office, hotel room last week.
Yeah, he's trying to get some of his stuff back, really. And he went on Friday, but he wasn't present. He had another attorney, and the judge said he needs to be in this courtroom. So he's going to be in the courtroom today, and guess who else is coming? Stormy Daniels allegedly is going to be in there as well.
And on the occasion of the FBI raid of Cohen's office and home and a hotel room.
And safety deposit box.
Last week, Scott Adams, Dilbert cartoon creator and Trump whisperer, friend of the show, had this to say when he took to Periscope.
But at this point, President Trump has my full support to fire everybody. He can fire people who just have names that sound like these assholes now. He can fire Sessions. He can fire Rosenstein. He can fire all of them now. He has my full support. Fire everybody you need to do. And I'm totally on board. And by the way, I don't want to know. I don't care what the charges are. I don't care what they find at President Trump's personal lawyer's place. Period. Game over.
Apparently, they crossed a red line for Scott Adams, they being the FBI and those investigating Trump. And for more on that, we're pleased to be joined by the aforesaid Scott Adams, who's not only the creator of the Dilbert cartoon, but also the author of Win Bigly, Persuasion in a World Where Facts Don't Matter. Scott, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So are you still seething about that raid on Cohen's places?
Well, my first reaction was this has something to do with Stormy Daniels, and they're criminalizing the president's sex life and using that to take him down. But it's not entirely clear at this point that that's what's happening. It could be that the process just caught the lawyer up, in its gears. So it could be something unrelated to Stormy Daniels. But the mere fact that the Stormy Daniels thing might be the reason that he was looked at in the first place is troubling, because it appears that 100% of the people who are in the news are also criminals, one way or the other. The people doing the investigating, they're criminals. The people being investigated, they're criminals. The lawyers of those people. When you get to a point where your lawyer has a lawyer, just everything's wrong. The whole world's falling apart.
And President Trump did tweet yesterday, attorney-client privilege is now a thing of the past. I have too many lawyers, and they're probably wondering when their offices and even homes are going to be raided with everything, including their phones and computers, taken away. All lawyers are deflated and concerned. Do you think, this is unprecedented for even, seasoned radio personalities, because I have never seen anything like this. Isn't it against the Fourth and Sixth Amendment?
Well, we still have to wait and see because we don't know exactly why they did what they did. All we know is that the timing is so connected to all the Stormy Daniels stuff that it's hard to imagine they're unrelated, even though they probably are. But it could be they just kicked up something they just couldn't ignore. So I'm going to be a little bit more open-minded than I was in my first reaction that you played at the start of the show. But I will still double down on the fact that if the president needs to fire anybody, I, as a citizen, just as a citizen, would be okay. I think Mueller's gone long enough, and I think there's enough question about some of the things happening that if he needed to clean house, I would say he's waited long enough. Now, I don't think it's good legal advice, so if I were his lawyer, I probably would tell him not to fire anybody. But just as a citizen, I think I've seen enough now.
And with respect to some of the other public figures, including former FBI Director Jim Comey, who's making the tour of the variety shows to sell his book this week, I don't know if you caught the interview last night or not, but effectively it was sawing sawdust, things that he has said publicly in testimony before Congress and otherwise. But I wonder what your reaction is to him invoking morality. President Trump is morally unfit for office. This with the FBI report, Inspector General report, that comes out concurrent to his whirlwind tour that finds that his chief lieutenant was basically a prolific liar during his time at FBI before he was fired.
Well, something like 15 years ago, I made a prediction that when we got to the point where we could detect any kind of crime, we would discover that everyone was a criminal, that just some people were getting caught and some people weren't. And we may have reached that point because our ability to go through electronic communications, essentially at this level, I think we're going to find out that almost everybody was violating some kind of crime. Everybody was leaking, everybody was obstructing a little bit of justice, everybody was colluding a little bit. So I think that's the big takeaway, is that we may never have a president who doesn't have this kind of trouble. Because if this is okay, if dogging a president to the end of the earth after being elected is okay, we're going to see it every time. And I don't think any president is safe. So my point of view is when I'm watching a show like Comey's interview and I see Stephen Hoffless and him literally inventing imaginary crimes such as, do you think it's possible that he, colluded with Russia? And you get answers like, well, it's possible.
Anything's possible.
It's possible that I colluded with Putin. I didn't, but it's possible.
Well, what do you think will be? What do you think will be worse for President Trump, though, this Russian investigation or the Cohen investigation?
Oh, I would think without any further knowledge, the Cohen investigation has to be seen as the scary one. But the question I ask is, he called himself a fixer, Cohen did. What kind of fixer leaves incriminating information on devices or even uses those devices in the first place for stuff that is a crime?
Not exactly Michael Clayton.
We're going to find out how good a lawyer he is. If they scraped his whole office and they don't find anything, I'm going to say, Michael Cohen, you are one good lawyer. But if they do find stuff, I think everybody's going to say, what an idiot.
Well, and the thing, too, just going back to what you were talking about kind of everybody's got dirty hands, if not criminally dirty hands. Dershowitz has talked about this before. We've actually talked about this in Illinois going back, more than a decade because, we have so many public officials go to prison here. And that is the criminalization of political differences. And prosecutors or FBI directors or deputy FBI directors that turn into politicians, that are positioning themselves, that are headhunting. They're not seeking justice. And we had another example, again, all the confluence of all these events, the pardon that Trump issued on Friday of former Cheney Chief of Staff Scooter Libby.
Yeah. I'm starting to wonder if we shouldn't have some kind of carve out for elected presidents. For example, something along the lines of, if we find out something that involves your sex life, we're just going to let that go for 4 to 8 years until you're out of office. There's just a law that says we just can't do anything about that. Afterwards we'll talk about it, but while you're doing the work of the people, the idea that justice should be blind, everybody should be treated the same. I'll tell you, for me, that stops when you're bugging the presidency and he can't do the work for which the people require him to be their servant. And once it affects the entire country and all of us, I get a little bit of flexible about whether he has some parking tickets or something. If it's a big deal, then of course you've got to look into it.
Circus. I mean, today Stormy Daniels going to Cohen's, court hearing today. That's just, it adds to it. It's crazy. I don't want to hear about her and President Trump. I don't want to see any pictures. I don't want to read any text messages. I want it to go away.
It might be the only court case where you ever hear the sentence, Your Honor, may I approach the pole?
Zing.
You're not going to hear that in any other court case.
No, probably not.
There's no right to be there. It's
I don't know. I have to think about some other court case. I'll have to think about that. Scott, let me ask you this, though. Do you still think Trump's, the master communicator, have his responses, his tweets about Jim Comey, have they been helpful, do you think, or should he be silent and let Comey sink under his own weight?
Well, this is one of those situations where a historical context helps. This is the now 900th time we've had the conversation about, not us, but the world has wondered whether President Trump has gone too far on Twitter. And every time it just seems to work. His approval seems to be creeping up. The economy is doing well. ISIS wishes it hadn't been born. North Korea is getting flexible. So, if you step back from the tediousness of the lawyer stuff in the headlines, things are going really, really well in the world, at large. Race relations and healthcare need some work. But a lot of the other bigger stuff is really going well. So you don't want to lose that. So when we're looking at today's outrage about Trump attacking another critic, I would say I'm never going to have a problem with this president attacking every person who attacks him. Mm-hmm. No matter where it comes from, the legal system, trusted institutions, children. I don't care where it comes from. If that's who he is, and that's who the voters elected, they elected a counterpuncher. And if he stops counterpunching, I think people would be more worried about that.
With respect to the media, everybody sees Trump's counterpunching. Do you think they see the punches that are pulled by the D.C. press corps? Stephanopoulos pulled many last night. No questions about McCabe. No questions about the IG report. Comey says there's some evidence the president has obstructed justice. Stephanopoulos doesn't ask the obvious follow-up. Okay, well, what's the evidence? Do you think people see the punches being pulled by those who are trying to advance a position, a narrative, rather than provide information?
I think there was a time, and that time wasn't too long ago, just a few years ago, when the average citizen would have said that the news that they follow is unbiased, but the other side is a mess. It's like, man, there's a lot of bias on that other side. But I'm not sure people see that anymore. It seems like we understand that the news is just one side or the other. Nobody's really trying to play it down the middle. So I think when people look at all this stuff now, they're looking at it through, I'd say, a more mature filter. They're just looking at it with a little more skepticism, as they should. Take Syria. Syria is the greatest example of the public just throwing up its hands and saying, we don't know what happened over there. Mm-hmm. We just don't know. We don't know what we bombed. We don't know who gassed who. We just know there's something going on over there, and we don't like it.
A text. We just got a text. I think captures what you're saying very well. Who would want to work with a lying, colluding, amoral mafia don? Jim Comey. That's who. Scott Adams, Dilbert cartoon creator, author of the book Win Bigly, Persuasion in a World Where Facts Don't Matter. Scott, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for having me.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line. And we have some breaking news. The U.S. Supreme Court will not hear former Governor Rod Blagojevich's appeal.
Bye-bye.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Dan Prothwitz. 60 seconds of sanity for upstream-ideas.com. Game show idea. Comey, Corey, or Christian. I'm going to read a series of passages, and you tell me which was said or written by former FBI Director Jim Comey, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, or 50 Shades of Grey protagonist Christian Grey. Let's begin. I want you to know that nothing has happened in the last year to change my view. Boy, those were the words I needed to hear. I know. And the East Coast loves you, and by the East Coast, I mean me. Do you think gay sex is a perversion? We lie there, panting together, waiting for our breathing to slow. He gently strokes my hair. Boy, I survived. That wasn't so bad. He was not going to get a hug without being a whole lot stronger than he looked. He wasn't. He holds out his hand, and in his palm are two shiny silver balls linked with a thick black thread. As he extended his hand, I made a mental note to check its size. It was smaller than mine, but did not seem unusually so. Look out, E.L. James. Jim Comey and Cory Booker are coming for you.
Building owners and managers. When it comes to maintaining the value of your commercial, industrial, or institutional building, there will be roof repairs or replacements for you to deal with. When you're looking for a good roofing contractor, search the ChicagoRoofing.org website for Chicagoland's best roofing contractors for repairs, replacements, or new construction. And you can check out their innovative roofing work also. All contractors at ChicagoRoofing.org proudly employ members of Roofers Union Local 11 who have undergone 5 years of rigorous training at the country's leading school for roofing, the Chicagoland Roofers Joint Apprenticeship Training Center. ChicagoRoofing.org contractors are at the top of their game and provide Chicagoland's best value for the best roofs all year long. Building owners and managers, you will have roof repairs or replacements to deal with. It's inevitable. Go to ChicagoRoofing.org. That's ChicagoRoofing.org.
Looking to secure a mortgage? Then you need to call Team Hochberg. Abby, millennial, purchasing a home. So her father, Sal, recommended she secure a Team Hochberg approval before speaking with a realtor. Abby naturally consulted with her friends who've never purchased a home before and applied online. Abby called her dad because the online lender wasn't responding to her emails. Sal told her to stop messing around with the online lender and call Team Hochberg, the only lender he trusted to help his daughter. We approved Abby to purchase a home, and Team Hochberg's real estate experts found Abby the perfect home. The internet's great for purchasing socks, shoes, and underpants, not mortgages. When securing a mortgage, you can either waste your time getting terrible service from online lenders, or you can call Team Hochberg at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com.
Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee 4358 and MLS 19186.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I would take this probably about 2 years. I haven't had a cold or the flu since. I know it works. It does work. I'm one of those individuals. I own my own company. I run like a nut. So I don't have the time to sit down and have the fruits and the vegetables and everything like that for dinners and all that stuff. So it's tried and true product. I believe in it. I can safely say, have not had a cold, have not had a flu. I do believe in it. I do believe it works. I do, I know the vegetables and the fruits and all that stuff is the best for you, and this is a great way to get it, and it's natural and it works.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first month's order and ship it to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Pro-life and a true conservative, Mike Braun is the Christian leader we need in the U.S. Senate. Mike grew up in Jasper, Indiana, and married his high school sweetheart, Maureen. Mike and Maureen came back home after school to raise 4 kids on the same values they grew up on: faith, family, and hard work. 3 of the kids joined the family business, and you'll find the Brauns at church on Sundays. Politicians in Washington have very different values. Let's send Mike Braun to the U.S. Senate to make a difference for us. In Washington, Mike Braun will stand for the right to life, defend traditional family values, and help President Trump confirm strong pro-life judges to the Supreme Court. Christian, pro-life, conservative. Mike Braun for Senate.
I'm Mike Braun, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Mike Braun for Indiana.
Shoot Point Blank is Chicago's leading shooting range and firearms store. Featuring 20 climate-controlled shooting lanes, complete retail store, and firearm education classes for all experience levels. Whether you're a new or expert shooter, now you can experience the Shoot Point Blank difference and see for yourself why so many people are talking about Shoot Point Blank.
I can tell you, I was impressed as soon as I walked through the door. The employees were really helpful, very patient, and knowledgeable, too.
My wife and I had a wonderful experience. We felt very comfortable and informed.
Brett was very friendly and respectful, and he answered all my questions. Because I'm new to pistols, I'm grateful he was patient and helped me decide what to buy for my new firearm.
For a huge selection of new and used firearms, ammo, and state-of-the-art indoor shooting range, visit them in Hodgkins, Mokina, Naperville, or Merrillville. Or check out shootpointblank.com. Experience the difference. Shoot Point Blank.
At Joe Cotton Ford, we're making it fun and easy for you to buy your next new vehicle. It's all because of the Joe Cotton Ford promise. No one treats you better, and no one works harder to save you money. For 44 years, we've been treating our customers like family. We're here to help you find the perfect vehicle for your needs and budget. And talk about prices, right now lease the exciting 2018 Truck of the Year, the F-150 STX 4x4 Crew Cab for just $299 per month for 24 months. Come see why we're Chicagoland's best Ford buying experience and why Ford is America's best-selling brand. We'll show you all of the Joe Cotton Ford exclusives that make a Ford from Joe Cotton a better value, like 2 years free maintenance and rental car coverage. It's our promise to you we'll treat you great and save you money. From 3 generations of our family to yours, you have our word on it. At Gary and North Avenue in Carroll Stream or at joecottonford.com.
To qualified buyers, 24-month FMCC red carpet low mileage lease, $29.95 down plus taxes and fees. First month's payment due at delivery. See dealer for details.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, we've got more submissions for our Comey Haiku contest. I would say Holly from Hudson is the leader in the clubhouse, but...
Oh, by far.
This is not over. We'll have to review. The judges will have to review these. We'll get back to you with the winner tomorrow. Ann B. Davis's bowling ball submission. Everyone look at me. Need others' light for mine to shine.
Ooh.
Orange is my new flack.
Oh,
okay. All right. Holly from Hudson didn't like that. I think she's getting a little protective of her lead. Another haiku from 630. Flaming bag of poo. Stephanopoulos stomps it. Don't open the door. Okay.
That's more my pace. Okay.
From 219. Lies whispered as truths. TV interviews with scum. The Comey book tour.
Wow.
I mean, there's a lot of very healthy submissions. The Boston Marathon.
Oh yeah, it's today.
Yeah.
Yeah. 5 transgender women are going to be running.
Mm-hmm.
They better run fast because it's going to be cold out there. Just nasty conditions. But the one that's from the Chicago area, she's from Woodstock. She mentioned that she's not doing this to try and win the race. She's doing this for a larger social message that transgender should be accepted.
Unless Woodstock is in Kenya, then I doubt there's much of a threat there, but okay. A related story of sorts, this guy David Buckle, lawyer for gay and transgender rights, killed himself over the weekend through self-immolation, Saturday morning, Brooklyn's Prospect Park, to protest global warming. My early death by fossil fuel reflects what we are doing to ourselves. But no, poison ideology, the cult of the environmental extremists. No, that's not a thing.
Thanks so much for making us part of your morning. Thanks to Justin Kosick, Quinn McCarthy, Keith Conrad, our whole zoo crew here. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. Now here is Mike Scott.
James Comey speaking in Chicago on Friday night. We'll tell you where. White Sox and Twins postponed for a 3rd straight day, while the Cubs and Braves were wiped out as well. WIND Chicago News Time, 9 o'clock.